Chapter 640. Gui Shiming had already thought of a way to enter the palace. If he got what he wanted, then Mu Yu would have a hard time taking it back from him. He had to find a way to enter the palace. How are we going to get in? Dragon Ting asked. Mu Yu jumped down the stairs and came to the front of the stone pillar array. He stepped and the 8 trigrams array pattern spread out with him as the center. Then the dense array pattern quickly covered the stairs. Little Shuai, help me. Mu Yu waved his hand and a dozen innate array foundation appeared in the air. He had to set up a few powerful fixed arrays. If Gui Shiming got what he wanted, Mu Yu had to find a way to deal with him. Little Shuai took the innate array foundation and quickly went to the place Mu Yu pointed out and merged the array foundation into the array pattern. Mu Yu's chaos yin and yang qi also merged into the array pattern. After setting everything up, he jumped back up the stairs and walked to the front of the enchantment. At this moment, the powerful aura in the palace was still surging. The ancient voice kept echoing. Mu Yu touched the enchantment with his hand. The spirit light on the enchantment flowed. The source of this strange spirit light came from the sky birth reincarnation seal above the palace. Mu Yu walked around the enchantment but still didn't find any clues. It seemed like he had to start from the top. He couldn't fly here. Once he flew up, he would enter another array world. He wouldn't be able to see the palace's location. But Mu Yu still chose to fly up. At least for now, this was the only choice. After Mu Yu flew up, he found that there was only a vast cloud world left. There were layers of white clouds floating around. In the distance there were flocks of birds. Looking from afar, there was a sun shining in the clouds. Just now, Xianjizi said, the dragon body flies through the clouds, the sun sets on the sky birth wheel. Do not be disloyal. What does this mean? After Mu Yu flew up the clouds, he had some understanding of this poem. He could see the setting sun and clouds in the sky, but Mu Yu still didn't understand what this sentence had to do with entering the palace. As a translator, can you explain this sentence? Little Shuai asked Long Ting. When Long Ting was in the Sand Eagle King City, he already understood the Yao language. Little Shuai understood the Yao language. One was a text translator, and the other was a simultaneous interpreter. The two of them worked well together. How would I know what it means? Dragon Vine wagged its tail. Mu Yu pondered for a moment as he looked at the sun in the distance. When Reverend Xianjizi mentioned the Heaven Evolution Wheel of Setting Sun, the Heaven Evolution Wheel should be referring to the Heaven Evolution Reincarnation Seal. In that case, how should he explain the first half of the sentence, flying through the clouds with a dragon's body? Qiu means that I am a true dragon with horns and a domineering aura. Does the Qiu body flying cloud crossing have to rely on me to fly across? The dragon vine straightened its body and said majestically, Don't give me that. Xianjizi wasn't waiting for you. Who knew you would come? Xiao Shuai said. Mu Yu also agreed with Xiao Shuai's words. Xianjizi wouldn't use a dragon to remind anyone. However, flying through the clouds with a dragon's body should mean that he should bend his body and fly across the clouds. However, this saying was too strange. How could he just bend his body? He tried bending down and looking at the sun in the distance from different angles, but he didn't find anything strange. The clouds were still drifting, and the sun was still motionless. Could he be wrong? Have no disloyalty? Mu Yu repeated this sentence. What was this disloyalty referring to? According to Xiao Shuai, the Heaven Evolution Reincarnation Seal was very dangerous. Xianjizi should be protecting it. In that case, he shouldn't want others to use the Heaven Evolution Reincarnation Seal for evil. Mu Yu didn't have any intention of using the Heaven Evolution Reincarnation Seal, so he believed that he should be able to achieve the have no disloyalty point. Setting sun. How can I see the setting sun? Mu Yu simply sat on the clouds and stared at the sun. According to his estimation, he had been in the Sea Demon Palace for at least a day. It should be noon now. However, He didn't know if the setting sun he saw here was the same as the sun outside. However, the sun in front of him didn't show any signs of moving. This was quite strange. It meant that the sun here was just an illusion. In Xianjizi's formation domain, the surroundings were full of formation patterns. However, the formation patterns here were very resistant to Muyu. They weren't like the land of opportunity just now, which could be used by Muyu in a special way. This meant that Muyu couldn't control the formation patterns here. After all, Xianjizi's formation techniques were much higher than Muyu's. Big earthworm, don't you think that cloud looks like cotton candy? It doesn't. Then what about the cloud floating from the left? Why does it feel like this cloud has been cut by a knife? Little Shuai and Long Ting were discussing the shape of the surrounding clouds. Muyu inadvertently swept his gaze over the cloud and suddenly had a thought. He had been focusing on the sun all this time and had neglected the surrounding cloud. Muyu leaped high into the air. As expected, he found clues about the cloud. Muyu, why are you flying so high? Little Shuai asked, puzzled. Muyu landed again and smiled. I know how to explain the hint that Xianjizi gave me. The floating clouds weren't in a random shape at all. Instead, they wandered in the shape of the 8 trigrams. They were of different lengths, just like the stairway to heaven in front of the formation hall. Xianjizi was once a senior of the formation glyph sect, so he definitely knew about the stairway to heaven. Muyu had just confirmed this when he was in the sky. Xianjizi had indeed arranged these clouds according to the way the stairway to heaven operated. The sun usually set at Yushur hour. In the 8 trigrams, the Zai and Dui positions represented Yushur hour. This was actually a deduction. These clouds wandered in the direction of the 8 trigrams. At a certain time, they would be facing the sun. At that time, as long as one stood on the Zai or Dui position of the clouds and jumped in the direction of the sun, they would be able to get close to the sky-deriving reincarnation seal. If Muyu's guess was correct, the sky-deriving reincarnation seal was probably the sun in the distance. After listening to Muyu's explanation, Little Shuai asked doubtfully, "Why do I feel like this place was specially designed for you? If it wasn't a formation master who came in, who could have predicted this?" Muyu replied, "You're wrong. Xianjizi only gave me this hint because he knew that I was the sect master of the formation glyph sect. If it were anyone else, Taoist Master Xianjizi would have given them different hints. Think about the lands of opportunity and you'll understand. Different people will enter different lands of opportunity. Taoist Master Xianjizi's ability to design arrays is truly amazing. If I came in alone, what kind of hint would he give me?" Long Ting asked curiously. Little Shuai happily retorted, "You wouldn't be able to guess even if he gave you a hint. I think Xianjizi's hint would be, Great Sea, what's the most handsome thing in the world?" Then, I would just have to passionately answer, "Little Shuai." Then, Xianjizi would send me over. All right, you're the most handsome." Muyu couldn't help but laugh. There was no one else who could be this narcissistic. He pulled Little Shuai and Long Ting over and began to calculate the changes in the cloud. After 15 minutes, the positions of the clouds just happened to align with the position of the sun. At this moment, Muyu lightly jumped. The tips of his toes stepped on the clouds in the Zai position. He bent slightly and then jumped out, flying through the clouds, setting the sun, and the heavenly evolution wheel. None of these 3 could be missing. Muyu only felt a strange force appear beside him. Then, the scene in front of him suddenly changed rapidly. When he came back to his senses, he was already standing at the entrance of the palace. He turned around and looked at the barrier created by the heavenly evolution reincarnation seal. He knew that he had succeeded. He didn't hesitate and hurriedly pushed open the majestic door of the palace. The door was very heavy. Muyu could only push open a crack, but it was enough to enter. After entering the palace, there weren't any magnificent carved railings or incomparably noble thrones. What entered his eyes was a high platform. The high platform was surrounded by powerful inscriptions. In the center was a huge golden seal floating in midair. This was probably the real heavenly evolution reincarnation seal. The thing above the palace outside was just an illusion. At this moment, Gui Piming was beside the high platform. A powerful ghost aura emerged from his body to corrode the 8 trigrams inscriptions. The powerful aura that Mu Yu felt outside the palace just now came from those 8 trigrams inscriptions. When one of the inscriptions was corroded, it would let out a very ancient and distant sound, as if it was sighing. How did you get in? Gui Piming also noticed Mu Yu. He was stunned for a moment. He was very surprised by Mu Yu's sudden appearance. Handsome people don't need the help of others to come in. It's impossible for a hateful Japanese like you to understand. Xiao Shui said proudly on Mu Yu's shoulder. While they were talking, another inscription was corroded by Gui Piming. I can't let you take things as you wish. Mu Yu didn't know what Gui Piming wanted to do with the Heavenly Evolution Reincarnation Seal. However, his goal was obviously for this. Mu Yu wouldn't let him succeed. The shadow sword flashed with a green light. The sharp sword chi had already swept towards Gui Piming. Courting death. Old 6th and Old 7th, the two of you go and capture him for me. Obtain his soul. It just so happens that this place is lacking a soul. Gui Pilife shouted. 2 ghost shadows flew out from the ghost seal in Gui Piming's hand. They were Gui Piming's 2 twins. These 2 twins were both at the unification stage. The 2 of them together made Mu Yu feel a huge pressure. Mu Yu's formation runes surged under his feet. He must defeat these 2 twins. And Gui Piming was still unable to break free. If he wanted to deal with Gui Piming, this was the best time. I'm the best at dealing with twins. Xiao Shui's 5 Thunderblasts. Chapter 641. Gui Shiming had 6 twins but only sent 2. It was clear that he needed the help of the other twins to erode the Heavenly Birth Reincarnation Seal. 2 body integration stage cultivators from the Devil's Gate might give Mu Yu a headache, but Mu Yu didn't have to worry about 2 souls. Mu Ling turned into a powerful vine in the blink of an eye and rushed towards Gui Laolu and Gui Laoqi. The 2 twins already knew how powerful Mu Yu's plants were, so they didn't dare to be careless. Instead, they separated their hands with pure soul power and blocked the vines. Do you really think we only have 1 soul tool from Senior Gui Shitsi? You are too naive. Gui Laoqi fiercely rushed towards Mu Yu. He was holding a white rib in his hand. It was clearly the soul tool of a human soul on the Demon Island. The soul tool could cover the ghost chi on their body. This way, they wouldn't be restrained by Mu Yu. Because of the special cultivation method of the Gate of Hell, even if they became souls, they still had the same cultivation as when they were alive. This was the unique characteristic of the Gate of Hell. Therefore, they weren't afraid of being absorbed by Mu Yu's Mu Ling. Come. Even your own mother won't recognize you. Xiao Shui and Longting rushed out. Blue electric sparks exploded in the air. Xiao Shui's small figure coupled with the asymmetrical thunder sword was mighty and overbearing. Those little devils have turned into ghosts. Their mother won't recognize them. Longting's breath swept out again and cut off Xiao Shui's thunder sword. Mu Yu's runes rolled out and suppressed Xiao Shui's broken sword in his hand. Then, he pulled out the shadow sword from the air. The tyrannical power of thunder and lightning immediately rushed towards Gui Laolu and Gui Laolu. Gui Laolu held the soul tool in his hand and scattered it. The white soul power and the black chi on his body formed a sharp contrast. The soul power crisscrossed in the air, and formed a barrier in front of him to welcome the sudden explosion of thunder and lightning. Mu Yu's lightning just now had left a deep impression on them. Even Gui Ziming, who had a physical body, didn't dare to take it head-on, so Gui Laoqi and Gui Laolu also flew back. However, above the explosion of Mu Yu's tyrannical power of thunder and lightning, a sword shape appeared, and all the exploding thunder and lightning were all directed to Gui Pei Ming, who was eroding the inscription. Damn it! Stop him! Gui Shiming had been paying attention to Mu Yu's movements. When he saw the lightning power sweeping towards him, he didn't dare to underestimate it. He quickly shouted at Gui Laoqi and Gui Laolu. Gui Laoqi and Gui Laolu also reacted. Mu Yu's attack just now was not used to deal with them. His target was Gui Laolu. Gui Lu and Gui Qi leapt forward, the soul armaments in their hands surging with soul force to protect themselves. However, their defense was a little hasty. The area where the lightning exploded was too close to their souls. The tyrannical lightning instantly broke through the barrier of soul power and landed on their bodies. Ah! Gui Laolu cried out in pain. In order to protect Gui Ziming from harm, he had taken the brunt of Mu Yu's lightning attack. But lightning was the most righteous and tyrannical thing in the world. How could a mere soul be able to withstand it? If not for the fact that Gui Laoyo's cultivation wasn't low, the lightning would have been enough to scatter his soul. How are you, Laolu? Gui Laolu rushed over to check on Gui Laoyo's condition. At this moment, blue lightning was flashing on Gui Laoyo's soul. Crackling and crackling, the dense ghostly aura on his body was dissipating. His soul was becoming much more transparent, and his aura had dropped by a large amount. I can't, the lightning is too uncomfortable. Gui Laoyo's face was dispirited. The soul armament in his hand couldn't help but fall to the ground. Damn it! This brat is really evil. Gui Laoqi angrily raised his head, but what greeted him was another restless lightning ball shooting towards him and exploding above his head. Crackle! The lightning crackled in the air as Gui Qi tried to bring Gui Lu into the soul armament in his hand to avoid being struck by the lightning. But to his horror, Gui Qi realized that the lightning in Gui Lu's body was being transmitted to his hand, causing his soul to tremble. This was what one would call the trembling of one's soul. Gui Laolu instinctively pulled his hand back. Seeing that the lightning was about to explode, he had no choice but to pull back his soul armament. At the same time, another ball of lightning exploded above Gui Laolu. The powerful tearing force of the lightning tore through Gui Laoyo's body. The pitiful Gui Laolu didn't even have time to scream before he was struck by the lightning again. This time, he couldn't resist it. His soul was covered with lightning marks. Then, his soul shattered like a piece of paper and disappeared without a trace. His soul had truly been destroyed. Laolu! When Gui Qi came out of the soul armament and saw this, he cried out in alarm. His face twisted in anger as he glared hatefully at Mu Yu. If they hadn't helped Gui Ziming block the ball of lightning, Gui Laolu wouldn't have been hit so easily. Laolu, you should take care of yourself first. The ball of lightning in Mu Yu's hand once again blasted towards Gui Laolu. After killing one twin, there were still 5 more. This little devil was really difficult to deal with. Gui Ziming was also very gloomy. The twins' death had a considerable impact on him, but he had already reached the critical moment of breaking the inscription. He simply couldn't free himself to deal with Mu Yu. He could only endure the surging injuries in his body and continue to break the array. Mu Yu, you will definitely die in my hands. Gui Ziming gnashed his teeth and shouted. How could he have thought that one of his twins would be killed so easily? The last person who said this to me has already met the same fate as Gui Laolu. Mu Yu's hand transformed into a shadow sword. The power of lightning was all absorbed into the sword, and then it disappeared into the void. When it reappeared, it was already in front of Gui Ziming. Gui Laolu wanted to block the shadow sword, but he also had a ball of lightning on his side. He simply couldn't afford to be distracted. He could only deal with the ball of lightning in front of him with all his strength to avoid the same fate as Gui Laolu. Gui Ziming clenched his teeth. He had no choice but to withdraw his hand. He quickly retreated and dodged Mu Yu's ball of lightning at the critical moment. 1/3 of the inscriptions on the 8 trigrams pattern had already been eroded by Gui Ziming. However, because of Mu Yu's interference, those eroded inscriptions slowly circulated and actually began to recover on their own. Taoist Master Xian Jizi's array technique domain, all laws returned to origin. All of a sudden, Gui Ziming's previous efforts were all wasted. If he wanted to obtain the Sky Spill reincarnation seal, he could only start again. Gui Ziming stabilized his body in the air. The power of lightning just now didn't hurt him. However, the defensive barrier around the Sky Spill reincarnation seal made him suffer a backlash. At this moment, the spiritual power in his body was already very unstable. He forcibly suppressed the blood in his throat. You actually dared to kill my twin. Gui Ziming's anger soared to the sky. I killed your twin? Wasn't he killed by you a long time ago? I just helped you release his soul. The shadow sword in Mu Yu's hand flashed with a green light, and the awe-inspiring sword intent penetrated through the body. Long Ting and Xiao Shui landed beside Mu Yu. They were not to be outdone and confronted Gui Ziming. It seems that if I don't get rid of you today, I can't be at ease. Sky Spill reincarnation seal is in my hands. Gui Ziming's voice was suffused with cold killing intent. I thought you had already figured out this point. Mu Yu tapped his foot. The formation pattern flashed. The shadow sword had already left his hand and chopped towards Gui Ziming. Just now, he was shamelessly threatened by Gui Ziming to lead the way. He had already suppressed a bellyful of anger. Now, killing a twin could be considered as collecting some interest. He could see that the aura on Gui Ziming's body was unstable. Just now, he forcefully withdrew his ghost technique. This was exactly what Mu Yu wanted to see. Otherwise, with Gui Ziming's body integration stage cultivation, Mu Yu would have no chance to deal with him. The remaining twins on Gui Ziming's body all rushed out. Each twin held a soul tool in their hands. They knew that Mu Yu was not ordinary, so Gui Shitzi lent the soul tools in the hands of the souls under his jurisdiction to Gui Ziming. Unfortunately, Gui Laolu did not have time to dodge in order to cover Gui Ziming. Even if he had a soul tool, he still lost his life. Tear this brat into pieces and avenge Laolu. Gui Laolu roared in grief and indignation. The other twins also responded. Then, they all spread out and surrounded Mu Yu. 6 body integration stage people from the gate of hell surrounded Mu Yu. Mu Yu had no choice but to be cautious. Although he had the help of thunder and lightning, as long as the other party dodged the thunder and lightning and used the soul power in the soul tool to deal with him, he would be in danger. Kill! Gui Ziming gave the order. 6 ghostly figures streaked across the sky and pounced towards Mu Yu with endless killing intent. Mu Yu jumped up and kicked out a shadow sword with the tip of his foot. It collided with the soul tool in the hands of one of the twins. The shadow sword was unable to block the power of the body integration stage and was sent flying. Mu Yu raised his hand and the shadow sword fell from the void into his hand. The surging sword chi turned towards the other twin. But at this moment, Gui Ziming's blood-colored long axe arrived. A scarlet light streaked across and looked towards Mu Yu's neck. Countless vines gushed out from under Mu Yu's feet and intertwined to form a wall in front of him. Leaves fluttered and every leaf wrapped around the blood-colored long axe. Although they were quickly shattered, they also took away a part of the blood-colored long axe's power. When the blood-colored long axe chopped down, most of its power had already been neutralized. Mu Yu met it with his sword and blocked Gui Ziming's blood-colored long axe to the side. Xiao Shui's mysterious lightning fall. The blue greatsword danced in the palace, and every sword shadow carried righteous thunder and lightning as it slashed toward the twins. Those twins were rather afraid of the lightning sword in his hand and did not dare to meet it head-on. They could only dodge. After all, the twins were body integration stage cultivators. Although they were afraid of lightning, they were extremely fast. Xiao Shui's huge sword was unable to touch them. If not for Long Ting protecting Xiao Shuai from the side, they would have already taken him down. Gui Ziming's attacks became more and more fierce. Mu Yu could not hold on any longer. Especially with the twins constantly harassing him, he could not hold on any longer. But at this moment, one of the twins took advantage of a gap behind Mu Yu and stabbed out with the soul tool in his hand, hitting Mu Yu's body. Chapter 642. The twins' soul power invaded Mu Yu's body, causing Mu Yu's body to turn upside down, but the black and white spirit power quickly poured into Mu Yu's meridians, dissolving the soul power that invaded from the outside. Mu Yu fell to the altar, landing on the edge of the altar, and stood firm on the altar's carved railing. But Gui Shiming did not give him a chance to breathe. The blood-red long axe once again mercilessly chopped down. Mu Yu could only barely wave the shadow sword to block. Mu Yu was under a lot of pressure while fighting with Gui Shiming. The opponent's cultivation was much higher than his, so he could not bear it. His body retreated from time to time, and finally fell directly on the altar, retreating to the edge of the inscription Array of the Reincarnation Seal. Little Shuai and Long Ting also retreated to Mu Yu's side, helping Mu Yu to resolve the pressure of Gui Shiming. The remaining 5 twins fell around and above Mu Yu. At the same time, a powerful soul power trapped the entire altar. Even if Mu Yu wanted to use the Heavenly Dipper constellation array, he could not escape from this range. I want to see where you escape to this time. Gui Shiming smiled. The blood-red long axe in his hand once again chopped down on Mu Yu. Mu Yu had no choice but to retreat again. Behind him was the enchantment formed by those inscriptions, but no one thought that the inscription enchantment that blocked Gui Shiming did not stop Mu Yu, but easily allowed Mu Yu to enter the enchantment. At this time, the blood-red long axe had already chopped down, the inscription glowed with golden light, and in the blink of an eye, Gui Shiming's blood-red long axe was shaken away. The strong rebound made Gui Shiming's whole body fly out, and it took a lot of effort to stabilize his body. How can you enter this enchantment? Gui Shiming was shocked and angry. He came in a long time earlier than Mu Yu, according to the method taught by Gui Yuzi. He spent a lot of effort but was unable to enter the enchantment immediately. Originally, the enchantment was almost eroded by him, but Mu Yu intervened. What he couldn't stand the most was that Mu Yu didn't do anything at all and directly entered the enchantment. That's right. How can I enter this barrier? Mu Yu was also rather surprised. His original intention was to prevent Gui Shiming from obtaining the Heavenly Divination Reincarnation Seal. Who would have thought that he would inexplicably enter this array formation? He must have some kind of magic treasure on him, otherwise it would be impossible for him to do this. Gui Laochi said angrily. Kill these 2 demonic beasts. Gui Pai Ming said angrily. Xiao Shuai and Long Ting were blocked outside the barrier. They couldn't enter. Mu Yu tried to reach out and grab Xiao Shuai and Long Ting's tails, pulling them in as well. Demonic beast, your sister. I'm a mythical beast, do you understand? Do you want me to teach you how to write the word God? Let me tell you, it's a little horizontal stroke. Xiao Shuai shouted. It's a little vertical stroke. Long Ting corrected. A little bit is too stingy. Using a little horizontal stroke is more generous. Xiao Shuai retorted. Mu Yu heaved a sigh of relief. He reached out and touched the enchantment. The powerful enchantment that could block Gui Shiming's attack allowed him to enter so easily. This was inconceivable to him. It could be said that his surprise was no less than Gui Shiming's. He was sure that this wasn't the work of the chaotic yin and yang. Although the chaotic yin and yang could control all the array patterns, it didn't have any reaction when he entered. Most importantly, perfected Xian Jizi was an array master with his own domain. His cultivation was ridiculously high, and the array he set up had his own domain. Even if Mu Yu had the help of the array hall and the array runestone, it was impossible for him to control perfected Xian Jizi's array. So what exactly allowed him to enter? Don't be disloyal, is that what you mean? Mu Yu pondered. The demonic beast's enchantments like to rely on none of disloyalty to block intruders. Perfected Xian Jizi used the demonic beast's enchantment to protect the heavenly divination reincarnation seal in the demonic beast's territory. It's not none of disloyalty, otherwise I would have entered long ago. Xiao Shuai shook his head. Every time, he was the first to discover how to pass through the demonic beast's enchantment. So he was sure that this enchantment wasn't the same as the demonic beast. Then what is it? Long Ting also felt that it was strange. Mu Yu touched the enchantment. Those inscriptions flowed. He was surprised to find that the black and white spirit energy in his body was actually gradually fusing into the enchantment and then flowing into his body. It's the life and death aura of the underworld grass. The heavenly divination reincarnation seal seems to be related to the underworld grass. Mu Yu nodded thoughtfully. However, he quickly stopped worrying about it because he was at least temporarily safe. This enchantment was like a shelter that separated him from the Japanese. Gui Shiming and his twins were stomping with rage outside, but they had no way of entering. Haha. Japanese, let me tell you how to enter. Only the handsome can pass through this enchantment. With your pathetic looks, I don't think you have a chance. Xiao Shuai proudly provoked from inside. Humph. If we can't enter, can you come out? Gui Shiming coldly snorted. The 5 twins had already set up all kinds of spirit energy ghost technique. These ghost techniques were similar to formation techniques and were specially used to deal with Mu Yu. They should have set up these ghost techniques after entering, but Gui Shiming thought that Mu Yu wouldn't be able to enter this place, so he didn't spend any effort. Mu Yu couldn't be bothered with the words of the people from the gate of hell. His gaze landed on the heavenly divination reincarnation seal. When he got closer, he realized that the heavenly divination reincarnation seal looked completely different from the top of the palace outside. This golden seal was the size of a palm, and there was a lifelike mountain peak carved on it. On the mountain peak, no matter if it was grass, trees, or rocks, every grain was clearly visible. Mu Yu was even surprised to find that there was a small cave in the middle of the mountain peak. Outside the cave was a protruding stone platform. On top of it was a small stone table and stone bench. Beside it was an old banyan tree. This mountain peak looked like it was filled with immortal energy. It was completely no different from a real mountain peak. The base of the mountain peak was in the shape of the 8 trigrams. At this moment, there was yin and yang energy revolving around the entire heavenly divination reincarnation seal. Little Commander, are you sure this is the heavenly divination reincarnation seal? Mu Yu asked curiously. Because what Little Commander saw outside was completely different from what he saw now. Little Commander nodded. It can't be wrong. This thing looks different from when you see it from a distance, but the aura can't be mistaken. Mu Yu carefully reached out his hand, wanting to take the heavenly divination reincarnation seal. Actually, he was just giving it a try. He thought that this thing would at least resist for a while. He didn't expect that the heavenly divination reincarnation seal would be directly taken by Mu Yu. Brat, be sensible and hand over the heavenly divination reincarnation seal. I'll spare your life, Gui Laochi shouted angrily from outside. Are you crazy? What right do you have to spare my life? Who do you think you are? Can you enter? Mu Yu felt that the people from the gate of hell were really stupid. They didn't even have the ability to enter and were still blindly shouting outside. Gui Laochi was infuriated by Mu Yu's scolding, but there was nothing he could do. Gui Laochi said coldly, "We don't need to go in. We just need to wait for you to come out." This was indeed a problem. At this moment, the people from the gate of hell surrounded the altar. They even set up all kinds of messy ghost techniques to deal with him. He couldn't escape even if he had wings. Mu Yu simply sat down on the stone platform where the heavenly divination reincarnation seal was originally placed. He flipped the reincarnation seal over and over in his hand. Then, he found some difficult words below the reincarnation seal. Text translator, tell me what words this is. Mu Yu asked Long Ting. Long Ting looked at it for a long time and then uttered a series of strange and incomprehensible syllables. Speak human language. I am the master of fate, overturn the universe, reincarnation, and control the world. Long Ting used a language that only Mu Yu and Little Shuai could understand. Its ability was to make whoever it wanted to understand it. This ability could prevent the people from the gate of hell from eavesdropping. What does this mean? Are you speaking in riddles again? Mu Yu asked. Long Ting shook its head. Little Shuai, you recognize this thing. Do you know how to use it? Mu Yu turned to Little Shuai. This thing is too dangerous. Only the white-bearded old man and Taoist Xianji know how to use it, Little Shuai said. Mu Yu pondered for a long time, but he didn't understand anything from the 16 words Long Ting translated. It didn't seem like a riddle. It was more like a grand advertisement. Unfortunately, there was no manual. Gui Laochi heard the three of them discussing something outside, but he couldn't understand Long Ting's words, so he was very angry. Why don't you guys tell us what it says so we can all understand it? Gui Laochi said. Mu Yu looked at Gui Laochi like he was an idiot. Then, he used the wind heart linking formation to connect Long Ting and Little Shuai. Now, they didn't have to speak. Everyone knew what they were thinking. It would save them the trouble of having to talk too much. Then, the people from the gate of hell saw Mu Yu and Little Shuai nod and shake their heads. They shook their heads and nodded again. All kinds of guesses, confusion, surprise, and disappointment flashed across Mu Yu's face. But the three of them didn't say anything. It was like they were acting in a mime. The three of them pondered for a long time, but they couldn't figure out what it meant. Taoist Xianji had left behind such a dangerous treasure, but he had forgotten to leave behind a manual. That was bad for Mu Yu. But Mu Yu believed the Sky Spill reincarnation seal was the key to opening the suppressing evil tower. Because the palace was empty, there was nothing else. Although he now had a shelter, the Japanese were eyeing him. Even if he had the key, it was useless. It looked like he had no choice but to lay his cards on the table. I say, why do you people from the gate of hell want the Sky Spill reincarnation seal? Mu Yu asked. Gui Laochi grunted and said, that's none of your business. This is the key to opening the suppressing evil tower, right? Mu Yu asked. Gui Laochi's eyes flashed and he said, so what if it is? Mu Yu saw Gui Laochi's reaction. He guessed the Sky Spill reincarnation seal wasn't just used to open the suppressing evil tower. His heart jumped and he said, I know. You guys are looking for that thing in the suppressing evil tower. But from what I see, that thing isn't something you people from the gate of hell can touch. Dragon Ting was shocked. Mu Yu, you know what they're looking for? Mu Yu, who knows what they're looking for? I was just asking. That thing originally belonged to the gate of hell. We just want to take it back. Before Gui Laochi could say anything, Gui Laochi had already said angrily. Mu Yu smiled and said, something that belongs to the gate of hell? What shameless boasting. That thing was obviously stolen by you people from the gate of hell. Nonsense. It was clearly a little thief who stole our soul transference technique. Gui Laochi, shut up. Gui Laochi coldly interrupted Gui Laochi and then looked at Mu Yu. You don't even know what we're looking for. Chapter 643. Unfortunately, Gui cherishes his life wasn't as stupid as Gui Laochi. Otherwise, Mu Yu would have tried to get more information out of him. Even if you know about soul conversions, it's useless. You've never seen it before. You still don't know what we're looking for. Gui cherishes his life wasn't worried. Mu Yu only knew a name. Even if he knew the name of something, he wouldn't necessarily know what it was. However, Mu Yu didn't answer. He was communicating with Little Shuai and Long Ting through their expressions again. At the very least, The people from the Gate of Hell thought that Mu Yu and the other two were communicating through their expressions because they didn't make any sound. No at all. I've heard of soul conversions? Mu Yu asked. Little Shuai wagged his tail and said with interest, never heard of it. Maybe it's a heart? I wonder if it can be eaten. You can eat the heart of a Japanese? That's a black heart. Long Ting's face was full of disgust. My cooking skills are superb. Don't worry. Little Shuai even wanted to eat that disgusting flesh-winged horned monster. Eating the heart of someone from the Gate of Hell wasn't strange at all. Soul conversions? I've never heard of such a thing before. Since it's something from the Gate of Hell, it must be very important to them. In any case, we can't let them succeed, Mu Yu said. If we stay here and don't go out, they won't succeed. Little Shuai's method was very straightforward. He took out a drumstick from Mu Yu's Qiankuan bag, blew on it twice, and warmed it up. Then, he started eating as if no one else was around. Mu Yu's face was full of helplessness. He wasn't as heartless as Little Shuai. They had to go out. The problem was how to get out. Gui cherishes his life. How about this? You guys want the Skypierce reincarnation seal because you want to enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. I just happen to want to enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. I'll take care of the Skypierce reincarnation seal. After opening the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, we'll go in together. How about it? There was no other way. Perhaps Taoist Master Xian Jizi hadn't expected Mu Yu to pass through the altar's barrier unimpeded, and even obtain the heaven-deriving reincarnation seal so easily. Mu Yu reckoned that Taoist Master Xian Jizi had set up a whole bunch of tests in the palace, all of which Mu Yu had carelessly skipped over. He didn't even receive any notifications to clear the test. Nothing much. I will kill you and obtain the Skypierce reincarnation seal. Gui Shiming did not want to negotiate this time. In his opinion, Mu Yu was just hiding in the turtle shell, but he was also a turtle in a jar. He had already started to prepare to erode the outer barrier, the ghost chi in his hand once again spread out. However, Mu Yu waved his hand and a bolt of lightning shot out. Gui Piming raised his hand and formed a streak of soul power. Although the lightning was eliminated, he had no choice but to stop what he was doing. It was clear that the erosion barrier required his full attention. His twin was rather afraid of Mu Yu's lightning, and was unable to create a harmonious working environment for him. Everyone was stuck in a deadlock. All right. I promise you, I will hand over the Skypierce reincarnation seal to you for safekeeping. Gui Piming muttered to himself for a moment, but still took the initiative to make a concession. Because he had thought about it, it was really too difficult to erode this barrier, and Mu Yu had easily obtained the Skypierce reincarnation seal for him. A little cooperation was not a big deal. This thing was essential to open the demon-subduing pagoda, and Mu Yu also needed to enter the demon-subduing pagoda, so he was not worried that Mu Yu would cheat or something like that. Most importantly, even if they did not kill Mu Yu here, when they left the Sea Demon King's palace, there the Gate of Hell had a lot of people, and it was more than enough to deal with Mu Yu. As for after entering the demon-subduing pagoda, at that time, no one would be able to protect Mu Yu. Mu Yu naturally thought of this, but if Gui Piming did not make a move against him in the Sea Demon King's palace, Helian Kong would be able to protect him after they left the Sea Demon King's palace. As for what would happen after entering the demon-subduing pagoda, that would have to wait until they left. Helian Kong probably knew some things, such as what exactly was soul returning. Okay, then you guys hurry up and get rid of those messy demonic arts outside for me, and also retreat to the edge of the stone pillars outside the palace, then I will come out. Mu Yu said. These things were naturally necessary, the Japanese's nonsense could not be taken seriously, and Mu Yu did not want to see a large amount of disgusting ghost chi rushing at him after he left. Then old Six died for nothing just like that? Gui Laochi was very unwilling. He will not die for nothing, Gui Piming said coldly. Currently, no one could leave this demon island, and everyone was on the same island, so there were plenty of opportunities for revenge, especially in the demon-subduing pagoda. That was the best time to make a move. Gui Piming threw out waves of ghost fog, quickly dispelling the inescapable demonic net that he had just set up. Then, he glanced coldly at Muyu, and left the palace with his twins. Muyu was not in a hurry to come out. When he came in, he had set up some array patterns. Only when he was sure that Gui Piming would step through those array patterns could he guarantee his safety. He first put the heaven-deriving reincarnation seal back on the altar, then walked out of the barrier and strolled around the palace. Since Taoist Master Xian Jizi placed this dangerous treasure here, it was reasonable to say that he had prepared some tests. Perhaps his remnant consciousness would even float out and tell Mu Yu how to use the heaven-deriving reincarnation seal and how to break the barrier. After all, Taoist Master Xian Jizi did not expect that his barrier would not be able to stop Mu Yu. Since he wanted to give this treasure away, it would be unreasonable not to leave some hints. However, Mu Yu walked around, and aside from admiring the various luxurious decorations and mysterious array patterns of the palace, there was nothing left behind. Taoist Master Xian Jizi's remnant consciousness did not run out again. Don't bother. The thing you want is already in my hands. Gui Piming's voice came from outside the palace. Damn, I was wondering why I couldn't find the instruction manual. It turned out that it was stolen by the Japanese. Mu Yu cursed. He walked back to the altar, passed through the barrier, picked up the heaven-deriving reincarnation seal, and went through the barrier. However, the moment he passed through the barrier, the entire palace suddenly trembled violently. Then, all the inscriptions on the barrier began to surge. The inscriptions transformed and shrank continuously. They were actually sucked into the cave on the mountainside of the small mountain above the reincarnation seal. This was not good, because when the inscriptions disappeared, the barrier also disappeared. Now, if Gui Piming turned back, Mu Yu would suffer a great loss. He quickly rushed to the entrance of the palace. When he exited the palace, he found that the barrier outside had also disappeared. Gui Piming was standing on the steps, coldly staring at Mu Yu. I think you must be looking for this. A golden light appeared in Gui Piming's hand. It was like a cluster of nebula, but also like a whirlpool. The golden fog was flowing, and it looked particularly wonderful. Mu Yu did not know what it was, but the gate of Hell People's things were either red, black, or all kinds of ugly gray. They were lifeless. This golden fog was definitely not theirs. Then, it must belong to the instruction manual of the heaven-deriving reincarnation seal left behind by Taoist Master Xian Jizi. This thing is in the palace. Just now, I passed Taoist Master Xian Jizi's test. So, only I know how to use the heaven-deriving reincarnation seal. Gui Piming said. No wonder this guy was not worried about the heaven-deriving reincarnation seal falling into Mu Yu's hands. It turned out that he already had a bargaining chip. Get rid of the array you prepared. Gui Piming was not a fool. He had already discovered the array that Mu Yu had arranged at the edge of the stone pillar array. Mu Yu put away the heaven-deriving reincarnation seal and calmly walked towards the stone pillar array. Gui Piming followed behind Mu Yu. He did not hide the cold killing intent on his body. The two people walked into the moving stone pillar array. When they returned, the stone pillar array's moving trajectory was reversed. So, they needed to deduce again. The two people walked side by side into the stone pillar array again. Mu Yu began to deduce the route out again. With the experience of the previous two attempts, the third attempt at breaking through the pillar array was even easier. However, halfway through, Gui Shiming suddenly sneered. Do you really think that I will cooperate with you? Gui Piming suddenly attacked Mu Yu. Mu Yu's reaction was also very fast. He had already expected that the Japanese would shed all pretense of cordiality. With a flash, the rapidly moving stone pillar had already separated the two people. Of course I don't think that you will cooperate with me. Muyu was not surprised at all. Along the way, he had been on guard against the Japanese's movements. Sure enough, this guy could not hold back immediately. I already said just now. I don't need to rely on you to get out. The surrounding stone pillars suddenly soared with ghost chi. Very quickly, it intertwined around Muyu. Soul power poured out and trapped Muyu in a range. When Gue Piming entered, he had already done something to the stone pillars. Although he could not deduce the method to enter, he could still use some secret techniques to record down the route that Muyu had deduced. When the time came, he only needed to reverse the deduction. Most importantly, he originally planned to use ghost arts to kill Muyu in the stone pillar array. Is that so? I also did not plan to bring you out. As Muyu dodged the moving stone pillars, he began to form complicated runes in his hands. At this moment, the ground suddenly lit up with a green light. Following that, the surrounding scenery rapidly changed. The entire stone pillar array had already disappeared. They had all arrived at a desolate plain. Just now, Muyu had not only laid down array patterns on the stone pillars, but he had also laid down array patterns on every step he took. At this moment, he was led by him and immediately used an illusion array to hide all the stone pillars. Gue Piming did not expect Muyu to have such a move. Just as he wanted to take a step forward, his body was suddenly knocked. Following that, his entire body was knocked left and right from time to time. Very quickly, he disappeared from Muyu's eyes. He was knocked to the side of the palace. The illusion array was only added on top of the stone pillar array. Those stone pillars were only covered by Muyu's array. However, it did not mean that they had disappeared. Muyu was able to sense the existence of these stone pillars. However, Gue Piming was unable to sense it immediately. Therefore, he was immediately unlucky. Really? Originally, we were going to walk out properly. You, I, and everyone are good. You just had to find trouble. Then don't blame me. Muyu's figure did not stop at all. He kept moving, avoiding the stone pillars. Very quickly, he left the stone pillar array. Chapter 644. In front of the Sea Demon Palace, Gue Yezi and Gue Yeming had never left the Sea Demon Palace. They were waiting for Gue Cherishing Life to come out. Helion Kong was also guarding the place to prevent Muyu from being attacked by the people of the Gate of Hell when he came out. Brother Helion, who do you think will walk out of the Sea Demon Palace first? Gue Yezi asked calmly. Helion Kong snorted. Is it that important who comes out first? The Sea Demon Palace is very dangerous. Cultivators in the spirit severing stage won't be able to get anything out of it, Gue Yezi said with a slight smile. His smile was fake, as if someone was deliberately forcing the corners of his mouth to curl upwards. Cultivators in the spirit severing stage won't be able to get anything out of it. Do you think body integration stage cultivators will be able to get anything out of it? Helion Kong was still confident in Muyu. After all, Jian Ing Chunfeng was quite famous in his era. He was even more powerful than Xian Jizi. Since Muyu was Jian Ing Chunfeng's successor, he naturally wouldn't be too bad. Gue Cherishing Life isn't a good-tempered person. I hope your brat doesn't provoke him. Otherwise, it won't be good if he can't come out. Gue Yeming, who had been taught a lesson by Helion Kong, sneered. Gue Yeming obviously knew who Muyu was. He also knew that Muyu had some strange abilities that specifically countered the people of the Gate of Hell. Therefore, he had already prepared many methods for Gue Yeming to deal with Muyu. Gue Cherishing Life had 6 twins. They were ghost servants that he had personally raised. Helion Kong frowned. Just now, he vaguely felt that there was something wrong with Gue Cherishing Life. He had been worried for a long time. Although Muyu was Jian Ing Chunfeng's disciple, Gue Cherishing Life was still in the body integration stage. With his understanding of the people of the Gate of Hell, the people of the Gate of Hell would kill anyone who stood in their way. However, Helion Kong still said, That might not be the case. I think very highly of him. Then why don't we have a bet? Let's use the soul tool as the wager. You bet that Muyu will come out first, and I bet that Ghost Cherishes My Life will come out first. If both of us come out first, it will be a draw. Whoever wins will get the soul tool. What do you think? Gue Yezi had always coveted He Lienkong's soul tool, and even now, he still hadn't given up. He Lienkong didn't say anything. If something really happened to Muyu inside, then it would probably be a complete loss. The soul tool contained the power of Taoist Master Xianjizi. If he lost the soul tool, then He Lienkong would lose the initiative in the future. What? Weren't you so confident in Muyu from the start? Why are you hesitating now? Or do you think that the younger generation of your pill cauldron school is no match for us from the gate of hell? Gue Yezi laughed. He Lienkong was slightly annoyed. Let's bet then. And once I win, you're not allowed to lay a hand on Muyu. Otherwise, I'll make sure that all of you from the gate of hell stay on this island forever. Good. It's a deal. Gue Yezi laughed. Take out the soul tool before you go back on your word. He Lienkong's soul tool floated above his hand. He looked at Gue Yezi, but Gue Yezi didn't move at all. Where's your soul tool? He Lien asked. I gave it to Gue Yezi. It's a pity that you can't bring your soul tool into the Sea Demon King's palace. Otherwise, you might have a chance of winning. Gue Yezi smiled faintly. He Lienkong's expression changed greatly. How could he not know the power of Gue Yezi's soul tool? The people from the Gate of Hell were more familiar with the control of soul power than anyone else. Their soul tools could unleash great power. If Gue Yezi had Gue Yezi's soul tool, then Muyu would really be doomed. You're shameless. He Lienkong was so angry that his beard was trembling. His soul tool was used to maintain the opening of the palace's gates, so he couldn't give it to Muyu. However, there were no restrictions on Gue Yezi's soul tool. A hint of pride appeared on Gue Yezi's face. If you agree to a bet, you must accept your loss. Then I'll wait for you to personally deliver the soul tool. However, before he could finish speaking, the entire entrance to the Sea Demon King's palace suddenly trembled. Then, ripples began to appear on the mirror, and a figure walked out from the mirror. Deliver what? A soul delivery tool? You're talking about this? Muyu's harmless smiling face appeared in everyone's eyes, and all the people from the Gate of Hell were stunned. How was this possible? Gue Yezi's proud face froze, and soon became distorted. He looked coldly at the black skull in Muyu's hand. Even the 5,000 years of calmness and self-restraint disappeared in an instant. You're talking about this soul tool? Muyu threw Gue Yezi's skull to the ground without hesitation. Then, he stepped on it and stomped it twice, saying, I have to say your soul tool is quite sturdy. In the future, when you have nothing to do, you can use it as a stool or something. Didn't you say you were going to use it as a chamber pot just now? Xiao Shui said in a childish voice. Gue Yezi was completely enraged. His soul tool was his skull from when he was alive, so it was equivalent to his head. However, Muyu stepped on it, and a little spirit beast actually wanted to brazenly use his skull as a chamber pot. How could he endure this kind of humiliation? Brat, you're courting death. You actually dare to treat my soul tool like this. Gue Yezi angrily shouted and was about to attack, but He Lienkong had already floated over and stuffed his soul tool into Muyu's hand, blocking Gue Yezi's attack in time. Gue Yeming also wanted to attack, but seeing He Lienkong beside Muyu, he forcibly restrained himself. Even after He Lienkong's death, his cultivation was far above Gue Yeming's. This demon island was not like other places. He Lienkong's face bloomed with joy. Ayaya! Such a precious gift, so you secretly gave it to my family's Muyu to protect himself. We're all on the same side, why didn't you say so earlier? I almost misunderstood you. Gue Yezi was so angry that his whole body trembled, but he didn't know how to react. This was because the matter of him and Helion Kong's bet was heard by all the spirits present. Because opening the Sea Demon Palace was a matter of great importance, the 4 leaders were all waiting here, with Bo Hong and Mu Mengfei as witnesses. I still feel that Senior's leg bone looks more familiar. This black skull looks like it was fished out of a latrine. It's really ugly. Mu Yu held Helion Kong's leg bone in his hand as if it was a treasure, then stepped on Gui Yezi's skull twice. Of course, the 2 of us hit it off. Helion Kong laughed loudly, and patted Mu Yu's shoulder. Mu Yu felt his shoulder being hit by 1,000-year-old ice, and a chill ran down his spine. All the human spirits watched as Mu Yu stepped on Gui Yezi's skull, and the corners of their mouths twitched slightly. This brat really dared to do something like this. That was Gui Yezi's soul tool. Gui Yezi was from the gate of hell when he was alive, so his soul tool was very powerful when refined. Gui Yezi stretched out his hand, wanting to take back his soul tool, but Helion Kong was already prepared for this and blocked the soul tool in time. What's going on? Gui Yezi, this is no longer yours. If you agree to a bet, you must accept your loss. Don't go back on your word. Helion Kong stretched out 2 fingers and pointed at his soul tool. Then, the soul tool emitted a pure soul power that covered Gui Yezi's skull, immediately cutting off the connection between Gui Yezi and his skull. You've lived on this demon island for 5,000 years. Don't tell me you've lived your life as a dog? Or are all the people from the gate of hell like this? If that's the case, then I really suspect that you people from the gate of hell came to the demon island with bad intentions. Mu Yu hooked the skull with the tip of his foot, and then kicked it to Little Handsome. I'll give it to you as a chamber pot. Little Handsome put his 2 little feet into the skull's eye sockets, and then it was time for all kinds of Little Handsome to play with balls. Gui Yezi's soul power was restless, and his face was terrifyingly gloomy. Seeing his soul tool being played with by a spirit beast, his lungs were about to explode from anger. Speaking of which, where's that junior from the gate of hell? Mu Yu, you didn't kill him, did you? Let me tell you, although you're stronger than him, we have to be kind and good children. Don't kill him. At most, beat him until he's permanently disabled. Do you understand? Helion Kong said earnestly. Mu Yu was only at the severed soul stage, while Gui Yezi was at the body integration stage. However, Helion Kong insisted that Mu Yu was stronger than Gui Yezi, and even warned Mu Yu not to kill. As long as he was beaten until he was permanently disabled, this old man was clearly not someone to be trifled with. Senior's teachings are right. This junior will definitely do as you say next time. As for that Gui Yezi, he cherishes his life too much. In the end, it seems like he's trapped and can't come out. Mu Yu tried hard to hold back his laughter. Can't come out? What a pity. Then I'm going to close the door. Helion Kong puffed out his chest, looking like a person of virtue and prestige. Helion Kong, the person under my wing hasn't come out yet. You're not allowed to close the door. Gui Yezi said angrily. He had to figure out what was going on. He had clearly given Gui Ziming pointers, but not only did Gui Ziming lose the Gui Yezi's soul armament, Gui Ziming was also unable to see Gui Ziming. This wasn't the result he wanted. I'm not that kind of unreasonable person. I'll wait for 2 hours. If he doesn't come out in 2 hours, then I don't want to wait any longer. You know how tiring it is to maintain the gate of the Sea Demon King's palace. I'm old, I can't wait any longer. Helion Kong thumped his waist. Mu Yu still had many questions to ask Helion Kong, but because there were so many people here, he didn't plan to ask them now. Because he had to wait for another 2 hours, he simply took Gui Yezi's skull and sat under it like a stool. Gui Yezi's face twitched again. He was so angry that his whole body trembled. He wanted nothing more than to charge over and kill Mu Yu. Senior, if all of you are gathered here, then what about the Bone Warriors fighting every day? Don't we have to fight the Bone Warriors with the Yao clan these few days? Mu Yu asked curiously. He remembered that he had been in the Sea Demon King's palace for about 3 days. Mu Yu had stayed in the land of opportunity for a longer time, mainly to comprehend the power of nature. He hadn't been here for 3 days, but the Bone Warriors still had to continue fighting. Every time the Bone Warriors fought, one of the 4 leaders had to come and hold the fort. Now that all 4 human leaders were here, Mu Yu had just come out, and the people from the Gate of Hell didn't look like they wanted to fight at all. Then, who should go up for the Bone Warriors' fight? Helion Kong shook his head. The Yao clan has stopped fighting with us these few days. They came over yesterday to negotiate terms with us. Negotiate terms? Chapter 645. The Yao clan also wanted to enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda? Mu Yu was not surprised by this. The Sea Demon King was sealed in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. The Yao clan had come here to find the Sea Demon King and rescue him. They obviously knew that the method to enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda was in the hands of the humans. Last time, Helion Kong had said that he would negotiate with the Yao clan after Mu Yu obtained enlightened Xian Jizi's inheritance. He did not expect the Yao clan to negotiate with him first. You agree? Mu Yu asked. If we don't agree to their request, we can't get close to the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. Helion Kong shrugged. Since they agreed, it naturally saved them some trouble. Otherwise, according to Helion Kong's estimation, they would have to fight 3 battles a day and win more than 80 years to win back the Yao Ceiling Pagoda's territory. That would be crazy. Since everyone's goal was to enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, it was normal for them to work together. Oh right, I haven't asked you yet. Did you obtain enlightened Xian Jizi's inheritance? Helion Kong asked in a low voice. Mu Yu explained the situation briefly. The problem now was that he had obtained the Skypierce reincarnation seal, but he did not know how to use it. The method to use it had been found out by Gui Shiming. So, Mu Yu and Gui Shiming each had half of the initiative. That kind of thing can't trap Gui Shiming. He definitely has a way to get out, Mu Yu said. Is that so? Then it looks like we have to wait for him to come out, Helion Kong said with some regret. Helion Kong said with a bit of regret. He had originally hoped that Gui Cherishing Life would be trapped inside so that he could extinguish Gui Yuzi's light breeze and prevent Gui Yuzi from always being so full of himself. Senior, have you heard of the Skypierce reincarnation seal before? Mu Yu asked. I don't know much about the Skypierce reincarnation seal, but enlightened Xian Jizi told me that the Skypierce reincarnation seal is a very dangerous thing, so he made a series of protective measures. Gui Shiming only obtained the Skypierce nebula. He also does not know how to use the Skypierce reincarnation seal. Only by combining the 2 things can it be considered as truly using it, Helion Kong explained. Mu Yu nodded. After that, he recalled that the Demon Island seemed to have issued an alarm. It should be Qiao Shui coming ashore. He was now worried about Qiao Shui's safety, so he asked Helion Kong about the situation. Indeed, someone else came. After you went in, another lady came to the island. She came ashore on our side. She's called Qiao Shui or something, Helion Kong said as he twirled his beard. Then where is she now? Mu Yu quickly asked. The people from the Gate of Hell said that the girl was a demon and wanted to kill her, but I saw that she was obviously a human, so I took the initiative to save her. In order to avoid suspicion, I sent a few souls to watch over her. Do you know her? Helion Kong asked. Yes. Of course he knew him. She's my friend. Mu Yu rejoiced. Fortunately, Helion Kong, this senior, was sensible. Otherwise, with the methods of the people from the Gate of Hell, it would be very difficult for Qiao Shui to gain any benefit. Then I'll get someone to bring her over. Helion Kong waved his hand, and a middle-aged soul immediately understood and floated away. After a while, Qiao Shui was indeed brought over by 5 souls. Mu Yu, you're really here? Qiao Shui cried out in surprise. Mu Yu quickly ran over and pulled Qiao Shui's hand, asking, Are you okay? That bastard Long Xingyun didn't bring you to the Demon Island? Xiao Shui shook her head. I didn't see them. After I was trapped by the merfolk, I wanted to escape, but the merfolk kept chasing me. I don't know where they went. Later, Yu found a sea demon in the sea and asked it to bring us here. Many demon beasts in the sea don't know where the Demon Island is. Yu asked thousands of demon beasts and only found one that barely knew the way. Compared to Xiao Shui, Mu Yu was much luckier. Little Handsome had seduced a rank 7 demon beast, the ink demon gorilla, and it just happened to know the way. Oh right, I forgot to introduce you. Mu Yu quickly introduced Xiao Shui to Helian Kong, and conveniently concealed Xiao Shui's identity. But Gui Yeming sneered. This girl is a spy sent by the demon race. This brat is colluding with the demon race. You actually believe these two people? If I don't believe us, then do I believe you? You Japanese are full of lies, and you still have the nerve to slander me? Which eye of yours saw me and the demon race together? Mu Yu scolded without holding back. A severed soul stage cultivator pointing at a transcending tribulation expert and cursing, there was probably no other person besides Mu Yu. In any case, the grudge had already been formed. The people from the gate of hell had been scheming to kill him. Cursing a few words now wasn't a big deal. Gui Yeming's expression was very cold. He really didn't have evidence to prove this point. With Helian Kong's temper, there was no way he could make Helian Kong believe him. Helian Kong mysteriously moved to Mu Yu's ear. Are you two dual cultivation partners? Yes, yes. That day, Mu Yu even said that he wanted to do shameful things with Xiao Shui. Little Shui raised his little paw and said, Don't talk nonsense. Xiao Shui's face turned red. Mu Yu was quite generous. Ah yes. Senior, do you have any blessings for us? A greeting gift or anything is fine. I already gave my most precious thigh to you. Isn't this a greeting gift? Helian Kong laughed and then sighed. I see that this girl is young and has an extraordinary cultivation. She's very compatible with you. Not bad, not bad. It's so good to be young. I'm starting to miss my Shaoli. Back then, Shaoli was also. Helian Kong started to praise Shaoli, who he liked, nonstop. She was graceful and beautiful like a flower. He spoke for a whole hour. Clearly, this matter became a regret in Helian Kong's heart. Although Mu Yu wasn't very interested in this Shaoli, he still listened very politely. I confessed to Shaoli 18 times, but she rejected me 19 times. At that time, I didn't understand why such an outstanding alchemist like me couldn't obtain Shaoli's heart. Mu Yu blinked. Wait, senior, you confessed 18 times and were rejected 19 times? Why don't I know how to calculate this? It's just that once I was rejected before I even started to confess. Do you understand now? In the end, I asked Shaoli why she didn't accept me. Shaoli said that she didn't like men and only liked women. At that time, I felt like the sky had collapsed. Helian Kong's face was filled with sorrow. It was obviously a very sad love story, but for some reason, Mu Yu just wanted to laugh. However, when he saw Helian Kong's sad expression, Mu Yu couldn't bear to laugh out loud. He tried his best to hold it in, feeling like he was suffocating himself. Senior, it's everyone's freedom to like whoever they want. We can't force them. You must get over it. I think that an outstanding alchemist like Senior must have many women who have a crush on you. As long as you pay more attention, you'll be able to find them. Mu Yu comforted him in all seriousness. Sigh, it's not like there aren't any who have a crush on me. There was a gentle and kind girl who liked me for a long time. See, I was right? What happened after that? That girl was called Ru Hua, but her appearance really let down passers-by. Her beard was even more hairy than my chest hair. Helian Kong shook his head sadly. Mu Yu burst out laughing. He felt that it was impolite, so he hurriedly coughed. He massaged his temples, smoothing out the breath that was laughing in his heart just now. He held Xiao Shui's hand tightly and sighed with emotion. Fortunately, the girl I like is more normal. Qiao Shui glared at Mu Yu, but didn't refute him. Right at this moment, the mirror at the entrance of the Sea Demon King's palace rippled again. Gui Piming walked out with a gloomy expression. He swept his gaze around and landed on Mu Yu. Ah, not bad. I thought you wouldn't be able to come out. Mu Yu didn't shrink back at all. This little devil had deliberately schemed to kill him, but Mu Yu countered him several times. It was a pity that Mu Yu didn't have the ability to kill him. Otherwise, how could he have let him walk out unscathed? Gui Yuzi whispered a few words to Gui Piming, his expression uncertain. After a long time, he said to Helian Kong, now that your people have the Sky Spill reincarnation seal and my people have the Sky Spill nebula, we can only take a step forward and negotiate with the Yao race. Otherwise, no one will be able to enter the Yao Sealing Pagoda. Helian Kong pondered for a moment. Okay, let's go find the Yao race now and clarify this matter. Everyone began to move towards the demarcation line. Mu Yu also took Qiao Shui with him. Along the way, he told Qiao Shui about the current situation on the Demon Island. He also explained that he had just entered the Sea Demon King's palace. Mu Yu deliberately stayed at the back and said, "By the way, you can't admit your relationship with them in front of the Yao race later. Otherwise, the people from the Gate of Hell will have a chance to cause trouble. Do you understand? The humans and the Yao race on this island are at daggers drawn." Qiao Shui nodded. Then her gaze shifted and she asked, "Did you just say you like me?" Mu Yu was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled embarrassedly. "That's just a slip of the tongue. So you don't like me?" Qiao Shui frowned slightly. No, you're so beautiful. Everyone likes you," Mu Yu hurriedly explained. Then he said, "In order to avoid trouble, I'll put a formation on your face. At least, don't let Long Xingyun and the others recognize you." Qiao Shui hesitated for a moment before she agreed. Mu Yu's fingertips traced the formation runes and then gently brushed it across Qiao Shui's face. Qiao Shui's skin was so delicate that it could be broken by blowing on it. She was so adorable. Her facial features were so exquisite that it made his heart tremble slightly. He had never touched Qiao Shui's face before. Mu Yu was very happy. Qiao Shui's eyelashes were very long, and her big watery eyes seemed to contain a vast ocean. Mu Yu could even see his own reflection in Qiao Shui's eyes. However, Qiao Shui suddenly tiptoed and gently kissed Mu Yu on the lip. Mu Yu's brain suddenly short-circuited for a moment. A warm current flowed from his lips to his whole body, making his heart involuntarily beat. That kind of wonderful feeling was endless. It was as if 100 flowers were blooming in the warm spring, making him dazed. "Is it really okay to do this kind of thing at this time?" Long Ting muttered. Only then did Mu Yu come back to his senses. He then smiled awkwardly. The weather today is really good. I was molested by a girl on such a good day. My reputation is ruined just like that. Big sister Qiao Shui, I also want a kiss. Little Shui jumped around on Mu Yu's shoulder. "Little kid, go play at the side." Mu Yu grabbed little Shui's tail and threw it away. "You were the one who said that it was everyone's freedom to like someone. Therefore, whether you like me or not is your freedom. Whether I like you or not is also my freedom." Qiao Shui was very calm. She didn't feel awkward at all. She then turned her head and walked forward. "Ah, big sister Qiao Shui, then I also have the freedom to like you." Little Shui ran back and jumped into Qiao Shui's embrace. Then, it rubbed its head against her soft body. "You don't have any freedom. Little Mo is still waiting for you outside the island." Long Ting interjected. "Shut up." Little Shui shook its butt twice. Chapter 646. The souls of the human race and the demon race had already begun negotiating at the boundary. Mu Yu and Xiao Shui were standing at the back, while a large number of souls occupied the front. Naturally, Mu Yu wouldn't be the one to negotiate here. Helian Kong and the others would be the ones to negotiate with the Yao spirit. Through the spirits, they could vaguely see the movements of the Yao spirit. The leader of the Yao spirits was Boss Lu. He was a living person, and it was said that he was older than everyone on the island, so he had the most right to speak. Yesterday you said you wanted to think about it. What do you think now? Boss Lu asked in a low voice. Gui Yezi said, All right, but I'm afraid we'll have to recalculate the number of people entering the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. 13 of us will enter, and only 7 of you will enter. Impossible. Once you people from the Gate of Hell enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, you'll probably attack us. That Gui Yeming cannot enter. Boss Lu shook his head. Gui Yeming had the highest cultivation among the living. Once he entered the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, he could probably wipe out the Yao spirits with a single slap. Naturally, Boss Lu wouldn't budge. This was his bottom line. Who we send in is our business. If you don't agree, you can wait until we take back the Yao Ceiling Pagoda's territory. Gui Yezi snorted. Although that was what he said, it would take time to take back the Yao Ceiling Pagoda's territory. If the Yao spirits refused to compromise, they'd have to fight a battle every day. It would take decades. However, Helian Kong said, I think he's right. Gui Yeming cannot enter. Helian Kong glanced at Gui Yeming, then at Mu Yu and Xiao Shui. He said, I have to ensure Mu Yu's safety. Helian Kong, watch your words. We're representing the human race. Don't drag your selfish motives into this. Gui Yezi shouted. Tui, don't try to pin a label on me. Don't you people from the Gate of Hell have any selfish motives for entering the Yao Ceiling Pagoda? You people from the Gate of Hell have always wanted to kill Mu Yu. If Gui Yeming goes in, how long can Mu Yu live? Helian Kong was not careless at all. Gui Yuzi wanted to use the benefits between the demon race and the human race to pressure Helian Kong. How could Helian Kong let him have his way? Gui Yezi was furious. Gui Yeming entering the Yao Ceiling Pagoda was naturally beneficial to his plans, but Helian Kong didn't give him the slightest chance. There was nothing he could do. Good. Ghost Knight Ming is not going in. Gui Yezi made a concession. He knew that it was meaningless for him to persist. Helian Kong would continue to hold on to this point. Not only Helian Kong, but Boss Lu of the demon race would also not compromise. In that case, we'll give up our territory in 3 days. I hope you won't regret it, Boss Lu said. The negotiations were simple. They'd already discussed the details the day before. It was basically about giving up their territory while opening the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. However, the negotiations just now had determined the number of people who could enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. 13 humans could enter, and only 12 people from the Gate of Hell could enter. If Gui Yeming couldn't go, then they could bring Xiao Shui along. Although Xiao Shui was on the side of the demon race, if Mu Yu went in now, he would have to deal with the threat of the people from the Gate of Hell. That was no laughing matter. If he went with Xiao Shui, Mu Yu would have a companion. The negotiations didn't last long. Everyone returned to prepare for the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. Gui Yezi shot a cold glance at Mu Yu, then left with his people. Clearly, if Gui Yeming couldn't enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, they would have to change their plans. Mu Yu also had many questions for Helian Kong. After returning, Mu Yu found a place far away from the people from the Gate of Hell. Then he asked Helian Kong, Senior, do you know what soul transference is? The people from the Gate of Hell enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda to find soul transference. Helian Kong asked in surprise, Soul transference? That's the Gate of Hell's most precious treasure. It's a treasure that specializes in attacking souls. It's said that it has many other strange uses, but I've never seen any of them. That's strange. I've never heard of the people from the Gate of Hell losing their most precious treasure. What does the Gate of Hell's most precious treasure look like? Mu Yu was very curious. How could they lose something as important as their most precious treasure? Would the people from the gate of hell be so careless? I've never seen it either. It's always been in the hands of the master of the gate of hell. But that's not right. Soul transference wasn't lost during the great battle with the Yao race 5,000 years ago. Although Gui Yezi's cultivation was very high at that time, soul transference definitely wasn't in his hands. This thing can't be in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. What are they looking for in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda? Helian Kong asked in confusion. Mu Yu didn't understand either. If it was the treasure of the sect, then it could be explained why the people of the Ghost's Gate were trying so hard to find it. However, why would the Yao Ceiling Pagoda help them find the soul returning home? Could it be that soul transference had some connection with the Yao Ceiling Pagoda? Since Helian Kong didn't see soul transference, then Mu Yu couldn't ask why. He continued, Senior, what should I do after entering the Yao Ceiling Pagoda? And you should at least know a little about the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, right? The Yao Ceiling Pagoda has a total of 99 floors. Back then, Taoist Master Xian Jizi told me that after entering the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, if you want to release the Si Yao King Yujiang, you need to learn how to control the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. The Yao Ceiling Pagoda has a pagoda spirit. If you can obtain the pagoda spirit's approval, you can control the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. So you need to find the pagoda spirit, Helian Kong said. The pagoda spirit? Will it be on the last floor? Mu Yu asked. That's not certain. The pagoda spirit can freely travel through every floor. If you're lucky, you might find it on the first floor. If you're unlucky, I don't know, Helian Kong said. This explanation was still very vague, but Mu Yu had a more important question. Senior, can I bring your soul tool in this time? Gui Yeming had brought over a dozen people from the Gate of Hell to the island, and a few of them were in the body integration stage. Without the protection of a soul tool, Mu Yu would have a hard time dealing with Gui Shiming. Even if he killed one of Gui Shiming's twins, it was only because of luck. If he was surrounded and beaten up by a few Japanese people in a corner in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, it wouldn't be a fun thing. Of course you can. This time, my soul tool isn't used to open the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. You can bring it in to protect yourself. Oh right, I'll also find a soul tool for your little lover. Helian Kong blinked his eyes considerately. Thank you, Senior. Mu Yu smiled. Helian Kong was really thoughtful. This time, Mu Yu would bring Helian Kong's soul tool in. This way, he would have an extra layer of protection when dealing with the people from the Gate of Hell. Even if he encountered a group fight with the Japanese people, Mu Yu wouldn't be afraid. Helian Kong explained to him many of the conclusions he had come to after studying the Yao Ceiling Pagoda for the past 5,000 years, including the fact that every floor of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda was composed of different scenes. Helian Kong told Mu Yu with certainty that the Yao Ceiling Pagoda was filled with strange formations, but Helian Kong wasn't very clear on which specific formations there were. I'm actually not very familiar with the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, because I've never entered it before. However, Gui Shiming seems to have entered it once when he was alive. He understands the situation inside. How about I think of a way to ask him? Helian Kong said. Forget it. Gui Shiming wouldn't be so kind. Mu Yu shook his head. That's true. Helian Kong knew Gui Shiming's character, so he gave up on this idea. In the end, he said earnestly, Mu Yu, you have to help us remove the restrictions of this place. Consider it as helping us escape. Is that all right? Mu Yu nodded seriously. They had been trapped on an island for 5,000 years without any freedom. They couldn't do anything, and they couldn't see a single living person. The area they could move about in was limited. In order to not let the area they could move about in decrease, they could only fight endlessly with the Yao race. Very few people could understand this kind of loneliness. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Mu Yu and Xiao Shui had both finished their preparations to enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. The dividing line also began to be moved to the Yao race's side. This was because the dividing line had been set by the sole power of both humans and Yao race in the first place. It could only be moved on its own when both sides agreed to it. During the process of moving, the Yao race kept a watchful eye on them. After all, they had won this area in the first place. Now, they were only temporarily retreating for the sake of the Sea Yao King. In order to ensure that the dividing line would be moved back to its original position after they left the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, the Yao race had even recorded the distance. The Yao Ceiling Pagoda could only be seen at night. It couldn't be seen during the day. Thus, everyone waited until the third night before they all gathered at the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. Xiao Shui followed behind Muyu. Helian Kong insisted that she go in, and Gui Yezi didn't say anything. Xiao Shui also didn't reveal her identity in front of the Yao race to avoid unnecessary trouble. 7 Yao race members entered the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. Among them, there weren't many who could enter, including Long Xingyun, Long Yeli, Yiwen Mao, Boss Lu, the Dragon Carp Brothers, and the Dragon Turtle. This Yao Ceiling Pagoda was much more majestic than the exquisite Sand Eagle Pagoda they had seen in the Sand Eagle Royal City. It also had a mysterious and profound aura. It was enlightened Master Xian Jizi's magic treasure when he was alive, and the might it contained was quite powerful. The patterns carved on the pagoda were very intricate, and all kinds of inscriptions were carved on it. The entire pagoda emitted a green light. The power of the all laws returned to origin formation domain flowed around it. It was incomparably mysterious. Remember what I warned you. You don't need to interfere with anything. You just need to watch from the side. If you really can't do it, you can help, Gui Yezi suddenly said to Gui Shiming solemnly before he left. This sentence, which came out of nowhere, made Mu Yu feel strange. Was there anything that the people of the Gate of Hell couldn't interfere with? Originally, Mu Yu wanted to listen a little more, but Gui Shiming seemed to already know, so he didn't say anything. Mu Yu didn't know anything more, but he was even more curious about the purpose of the people of the Gate of Hell entering the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. They were looking for soul returning to the heart, and they didn't let Gui Shiming interfere. What could they find by just watching from the side? You two go to the Yao Ceiling Pagoda together, Helian Kong said. Mu Yu and Gui Shiming walked out together, and stood in front of the door to the first floor of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. The door was gilded with vermilion red, and it was majestic. As they approached, they discovered that the entire pagoda exuded a vast aura. It was undoubtedly an ancient treasure. The Skyspill Reincarnation Seal and the Skyspill Nebula appeared in their hands, and the Skyspill Reincarnation Seal automatically floated towards the Skyspill Nebula. The center of the Skyspill Nebula was like a whirlpool, slowly flowing. Then, the whirlpool gradually turned into a ray of light, merging into the cave halfway up the mountain where the Skyspill Reincarnation Seal was. Then, the Skyspill Reincarnation Seal trembled slightly, and automatically flew towards the Yao Ceiling Pagoda's door. A dazzling light flashed past, and the Skyspill Reincarnation Seal disappeared from the Yao Ceiling Pagoda's door. Then, the Yao Ceiling Pagoda's door slowly opened, revealing a vast white world inside. Mu Yu frowned slightly, because the Skyspill Reincarnation Seal had already disappeared after opening the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. He had been hoping to keep this thing. Gui Shiming, on the other hand, wasn't surprised at all. He only snorted slightly, and took the lead to enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. The remaining members of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda were also unwilling to fall behind, and all of them rushed in. Mu Yu and Xiao Shui walked together, and also stepped into the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. The remaining souls had been standing guard outside, and they couldn't enter the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. After entering the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, Mu Yu felt his body tremble slightly. The surrounding formation runes flashed by from time to time, and the white fog he had seen before had already disappeared. It was as if he had stepped into a curtain of water. When his eyes adjusted to the light, He was surprised to find that he seemed to have arrived at the top of a towering mountain. The surrounding members of the Gate of Hell seemed to have disappeared. Even Qiao Shui, who had clearly been standing behind him, had disappeared without a trace. The Yao Ceiling Pagoda seemed to have scattered everyone, and Mu Yu had no idea where he was. If this was a pagoda, the explanation would be completely different. Strictly speaking, this place was more like an independent illusory formation. However, because of the formation domain's illusory formation, Mu Yu couldn't directly break this formation, which made him feel a little regretful. Since every level is an illusory formation, doesn't that mean there are 99 illusory formations here? Which way should we go? Little Commander asked. Mu Yu looked at the mountain below his feet, and then looked at the scenery in the distance. He could directly fly in the air, so he flew to the foot of the mountain. However, when Mu Yu passed through the layers of clouds and arrived at the foot of the mountain, the scene in front of him made his pupils shrink. Corpses were everywhere, and blood flowed like a river. There were cultivators, Yao Ceiling Pagoda, and Yumon corpses. Thick smoke billowed, and the river water surged. The tree leaves had a strange red color, and the ground was cracked. There were ravines everywhere, and all kinds of magic treasures and iron swords were twisted together. The corpses were still dripping with blood, and the residual warmth was still there. It was as if a tragic battle had happened just 15 minutes ago. Mu Yu landed on the ground, and looked at everything in front of him in confusion. He didn't understand why Taoist Master Xian Jizi had set up such a terrifying illusory formation. Was he trying to warn the future generations about something? But at that moment, Mu Yu smelled a nauseating yet familiar rotting smell. He followed the smell and suddenly saw a puddle of yellow corpse water. Is this the Yellow Springs corpse water? They were about the same size as the White Ape Demon King. The horns on their chests were very strong, and the wings on their backs were extremely sharp. The various colors of corpse water on their bodies roared and turned into the fiercest attacks that blasted towards the White Ape Demon King. The White Ape Demon King's counterattack was simple and crude. With a punch, it destroyed everything. Even the sun in the sky was overshadowed. The punch compressed the air to the limit and suddenly exploded. It instantly blasted on the red flesh-winged horned monster and directly penetrated it. You dare to come to my world? I'm the boss here. The white light on the White Ape Demon King's fist flashed again. The surging wind of the punch rolled out and instantly shattered the entire flesh-winged horned monster. His figure nimbly flashed and avoided the attack of another green flesh-winged horned monster. His big hand grabbed again and directly grabbed the green flesh-winged horned monster's wings. Then, he tore it in half. Green blood splattered everywhere. The more the White Ape Demon King fought, the more valiant he became. He was not at a disadvantage, even though he was taking on 7 flesh-winged horned monsters alone. His aura violently impacted the surroundings. In just a moment, the originally arrogant and ugly flesh-winged horned monsters were all torn to shreds by the White Ape Demon King. F***CK, the old hairy monkey at his peak is actually so scary. Mu Yu swallowed. He thought about how he had been pointing at the White Ape Demon King's nose and cursing. He was lucky that the White Ape Demon King didn't slap him to death. In front of the White Ape Demon King at this time, Mu Yu felt that he was really too small. Mu Yu glanced around. He didn't need to think to know that this must be the second layer of heaven. He had never understood how the second layer of heaven was destroyed. With such a terrible existence like the White Ape Demon King, who had such great power to destroy the 3 races of the second layer of heaven, leaving only the monsters behind? White Ape, you shouldn't have killed them. You have caused us a big trouble. A long sigh came from afar and reverberated in the sky. Then a figure appeared in front of the White Ape Demon King. This person was dressed in blue and looked calm. He seemed to be only in his 20s, but the aura contained in his body was like a mountain. Even though he was so small in front of the White Ape Demon King, in Mu Yu's view, he was not weaker than the White Ape Demon King. A hazy cloud floated around the blue-clothed person. This cloud seemed illusory, as if it would disperse when the wind blew, but it made Mu Yu feel a sense of familiarity. "It's the phantom! That stupid phantom!" Xiao Shui suddenly pointed at the blue-clothed man's cloud and said, "This cloud is the phantom?" Mu Yu was surprised. When he was in the second layer of heaven, in order to obtain the netherworld grass, he was implanted with false memories by the phantom, which made him feel very confused. He didn't know what was real and what was fake. In the end, it was little Shuai's existence that cleared up Mu Yu's memories. The White Ape Demon King stared with his huge eyes and said in a deep voice, "Phantom Qin Yu, you don't resist, but do you not allow us to resist? Phantom Qin Yu?" This blue-clothed person was Phantom Qin Yu. "We are the protectors of this world, not participants. You have to understand this." Phantom Qin Yu's voice was very calm, but it was filled with helplessness. "You, Jianing, Chunfeng and the others are protectors, but I am not. If the Moon Clan wants us to act according to their requirements, I, Old Ape, will be the first to refuse," the White Ape Demon King said angrily. Phantom Qin Yu glanced at the desolate land and shook his head. "You are not prepared to fight against the Moon Clan. You have already lost. Even if I lose, I don't want to live with this humiliation." The White Ape Demon King's resolute aura was completely revealed. Phantom Qin Yu was silent. After a long time, he spoke again. "I have to seal you in order to protect you and not let them find you." The White Ape Demon King's expression changed slightly, and he shouted angrily, "I don't need your protection. We are immortals, and no one can be harmed. For this world, for the continuation of our race, you have to live. As for them finding trouble with you, Jianing, Chunfeng, and I can protect you. The seal will take away your aura. This process is very painful, but you have to bear the consequences of what you have done. I only hope that you can live. The seal is the best way to protect you." Phantom Qin Yu sighed heavily. "You want to seal me? I will not wait for death." The White Ape Demon King's aura became violent again. "You are already heavily injured. You are no match for me. The seal can help you escape this calamity. In the future, when you break free from the seal, the Moon Clan will not find trouble with you." The phantom spirit beside Phantom Qin Yu suddenly floated out, turning into a cloud that covered the sky and enveloped the White Ape Demon King. The White Ape Demon King furiously blasted out a fist, but his fist was completely absorbed, as if it had hit cotton. Powerful runes rippled out from Phantom Rain's hands from time to time, wrapping around the White Ape Demon King. The White Ape Demon King struggled with all his might, but the surrounding clouds were like glue, restricting the White Ape Demon King's movements. Soon, the White Ape Demon King's massive body began to shrink. In the end, it became the same size as Phantom Rain, revealing its human form. "Phantom Qin Yu, do you plan to seal all 10 of us Demon Kings?" The White Ape Demon King's aura was gradually covered by the formation runes, which formed a cage that trapped the White Ape Demon King inside. Phantom Qin Yu did not answer the White Ape Demon King. "Phantom Qin Yu, remember this. I will definitely get back at you in the future." The White Ape Demon King suddenly opened his mouth, and a white Niden flew out from his mouth, and then disappeared into the void. Phantom Qin Yu did not stop him. She just helplessly shook her head, and then disappeared with the White Ape Demon King. After they left, the sky suddenly flashed with a dazzling brilliance, and the sky seemed to be torn apart. Then, a terrifying aura swept through the entire land. "Destroy the 3 races of the second layer heaven." It was an ice-cold voice, so cold that it penetrated the bones, making people tremble in fear. Mu Yu watched all this from a distance. He heard about the unfamiliar Moon Clan, but he did not know what kind of existence they were. Even Phantom Qingyu was so afraid of them. The destruction of the second layer heaven seemed to be inseparable from the White Ape Demon King's killing of the 7 flesh-winged horned monsters. Who was Akatsuki that he met back then? The world of cultivators is never that simple. Everything is a cage, and the demon clan wants to break free from it, but they are not prepared. The White Ape Demon King's resistance caused the destruction of the second layer heaven races, so the third layer heaven cannot repeat the White Ape Demon King's mistake. A vicissitude figure appeared beside Muyu. He stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the brilliance in the sky, and sighed softly. Senior Xianjizi, what kind of existence is the Moon Clan? Muyu asked. But Xianjizi did not answer Muyu. He did not seem to notice Muyu's existence at all. After a while, a formation rune appeared in Xianjizi's hand. The rune streaked across, and he took a step forward and disappeared. Is that a teleportation array? Muyu exclaimed. A teleportation array from thousands of years ago had actually been casually set up by Xianjizi. He took Xianjizi and disappeared from the second layer heaven. He went to the third layer heaven. Little Shuai, who was on Muyu's shoulder, kept staring at the brilliance in the distant sky. His eyes revealed a look of disgust. I heard the white-bearded old man talk about the Moon Clan, Little Shuai said. It is a powerful and ancient race, powerful enough to destroy the entire world. He alone could not stop them. Muyu's heart could not calm down for a long time. He suddenly thought of something. Why did the flesh-winged horned monster Akatsuki come to the third layer heaven this time? Chapter 648. The battle between the White Ape Demon King and the flesh-winged horned monsters deeply shocked Muyu, who was watching the battle. Although Muyu knew that it was all an illusion, it still seemed so real. The White Ape Demon King's imposing manner of looking down on the world had left an extremely deep impression on him. When the White Ape Demon King was freed, one punch from him was enough to destroy a mountain peak, let alone when he was at his peak. No wonder the White Ape Demon King became so serious when he heard Muyu talk about Akatsuki. He left without a care for anything and didn't even give an explanation. Now, it seemed that the White Ape Demon King also understood the consequences of Akatsuki's existence on the third heaven. Muyu looked around the battlefield. The whole world had come to a standstill after Taoist Master Xianjizi left. Then, it slowly began to flow backward. Time seemed to have returned to the moment when the 3 races of the second heaven joined forces to kill the Moon Clan. For the first time, the Human Clan, the Demon Clan, and the Human stood on the same front. They fought with all their might against the flesh-winged horned monsters. The flesh-winged horned monsters were quite powerful. From time to time, cultivators and demons would be pierced by the flesh-winged horned monsters' horns and cut in half by their sharp wings. After the flesh-winged horned monsters were killed, they didn't leave behind any corpses. Instead, they turned into puddles of corpse water of different colors, emitting a nauseating stench. That battle was very tragic. In the end, the White Ape Demon King led the 3 races to defeat the flesh-winged horned monsters. However, the White Ape Demon King's victory was temporary because there were even more powerful existences in the boundless firmament. Although Muyu didn't see what happened after, he could imagine how those powerful existences wiped out the 3 races of the second heaven, completely destroying their civilization. Muyu silently watched the battle from the side from beginning to end. He felt the consequences of the battle with a heavy heart and many questions in his mind. The destruction of the second layer heaven was due to the White Ape Demon King's desire to rebel against the powerful Moon Clan. However, why did the White Ape Demon King want to rebel against the Moon Clan? What did the Moon Clan do to the White Ape Demon King? Muyu had no idea. Everything seemed so confusing. Then, Muyu realized that he should look for the tower spirit. He carefully analyzed the illusion array. Although he could not control the illusion array here, he still found the exit. The exit was the terrifying ray of light that appeared in the vast sky. That terrifying ray of light had the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. Every inch it got closer seemed to indicate that something terrible was about to happen. It was as if in the next moment he would be crushed, his soul scattered, and his body and soul destroyed. Mu Yu knew that it was just an illusion. He suppressed the shock in his heart and finally stepped into the light in the sky. He felt as if he had jumped into water, and the air became sticky. Then, he returned to a battlefield. The battlefield here was no longer the second layer heaven, but the desert forest that Mu Yu had been to before. The Sand Eagle Demon King stood on a ghost falcon, leading his demon clansmen to confront the human self-cultivators. The yellow sand gently fluttered, constantly swirling and emitting a sharp whistling sound. And the one facing the Sand Eagle Demon King was Reverend Xian Jizi. You should not have assisted the White Ape Demon King. Your demon clansman's decision has also put the third layer heaven in danger. Reverend Xian Jizi's expression was solemn, but his eyes revealed a trace of helplessness. The Sand Eagle Demon King silently looked at Reverend Xian Jizi. His aura was steady, but it carried a kind of freedom. It was as if he was a sand eagle that was about to break free from his cage and was willing to rely on his own hot blood to fight against the vast sky. He would not hesitate even if the dusk was stained with blood. Resistance was the joint decision of the 10 demon kings. For freedom and truth, we will die without regret. The Sand Eagle Demon King's body was like a javelin. His aura soared to the sky, as if he wanted to compete with the heavens. The freedom and truth that you desire will disrupt the order of the world. It will also push the third layer heaven into a state of eternal damnation. Reverend Xian Jizi raised his voice. In that instant, it was as if he had become the spokesperson of the entire world, so resolute and awe-inspiring. If you humans are with us, we will negotiate with Human. There is still hope for resistance. The Sand Eagle Demon King said resentfully. The 3 races of the second layer heaven have already been exterminated because of their alliance. Haven't we learned our lesson? Reverend Xian Jizi retorted sternly. A bolt of purple lightning once again streaked across the vast blue dome of heaven. It was so insufferably arrogant, as if announcing the end of the world. That heart-palpitating power was far greater than that of Reverend Xian Jizi and the Sand Eagle Demon King. Both of them looked up at the sky at the same time. But a sword light streaked across, as if it had traveled through the boundless space-time. It carried with it a domineering aura. Tens of thousands of feet of sword chi rose from the ground. The boundless and powerful sword chi instantly covered the entire purple light. Reverend Xian Jizi and the Sand Eagle Demon King glanced at each other. Their figures rose from the ground, disappearing into the tens of thousands of feet of sword chi. That sword chi was so familiar that it caused Mu Yu's body to tremble. His white robes fluttered in the wind, and he seemed to have transcended the mortal world. His gentle and refined aura was as reliable as a mountain. It was as if as long as this person was present, there would be no more danger in the world. Back then, Jianing Chunfeng was still young, but his gaze was so deep. It was as if he could see through the hearts of people and see through the vicissitudes of the world. Master. Mu Yu silently looked at Jianing Chunfeng, his heart filled with longing. Jianing Chen used to be a peerless genius, but now, he had fallen into the trap of the third layer palace. His whereabouts were unknown. Jianing Chunfeng stood with his hands behind his back. He looked at Reverend Xian Jizi and the Sand Eagle Demon King. His expression was very calm. There was no anger or fury. Only a complicated expression was mixed within his indifference. "Greetings, my lord." Reverend Xian Jizi bowed respectfully. The Sand Eagle Demon King didn't move. He just stared at Jianing Chunfeng. Jianing Chunfeng, I always thought you were just a tribulation passing stage cultivator. I didn't expect you to have hidden yourself so deeply. Even I can't tell what kind of person you are. Jian Ingchen Feng smiled slightly. He looked at the distant purple light. It's not just you. I'm afraid even the human race doesn't know what kind of person I am. To be honest, sometimes even I question myself. Who am I? Milord, you must be joking. You just don't want to be burdened by the name of the world. Reverend Xian Jizi's expression was filled with reverence. Jian Ingchen Feng shook his head. I originally didn't want to interfere with this world, but I also don't want to see it destroyed. Sand Eagle Demon King, you are also a person with eternal life. You must live on. You can't die at the hands of the Moon Clan. The only thing that can help you escape death is a seal. The Sand Eagle Demon King's expression didn't change. He seemed to have expected this result. Where do you want to seal me? To a place where no one can find you. Jian Ingchen Feng casually waved his hand. Powerful sword qi flowed in the air, transforming into runes that instantly enveloped the Sand Eagle Demon King. The Sand Eagle Demon King wanted to resist, but the aura completely suppressed him. He couldn't even use his strength to resist. You are clearly so powerful. Why don't you resist the Moon Clan? The Sand Eagle Demon King roared angrily. I'm just a passing traveler in this world. I see this world constantly moving forward. I can prevent evil from invading the third firmament. That's enough. Jian Ingchen Feng sighed. His eyes were like resplendent stars. He stood at the end of the world, familiarizing himself with the laws of the world. Mu Yu slowly walked to his master's side. The aura of, I rule the world, made Mu Yu want to worship him. Master. Mu Yu wanted to touch him, but his hand passed through the figure. Jian Ingchen Feng protected the world, but he couldn't protect himself. However, Mu Yu still didn't understand. His master clearly had the ability to rule the world. He could easily seal the Demon King. The 5 Demon Master Yumeng weren't his match at all. Why would he sacrifice himself to set up the immortal confining prison? If he wanted to destroy Yuman, it would be more than enough. Why did he believe in the Third Firmament Palace in the end? What exactly happened during this time? Mu Yu increasingly felt that the matter at the Moyun mountain range wasn't as simple as it seemed on the surface. Jian Ingchen Feng flipped his hand, and a strange golden seal appeared in the air. It was the heavenly reincarnation seal. My lord, this is... Perfected Xian Jizi was extremely shocked. This is a very dangerous item. It's dangerous and powerful. Take this and seal the Sea Demon King. Remember, don't kill the Sea Demon King. The Demon King must be born in the future. Jian Ingchen Feng handed the heavenly reincarnation seal to Perfected Xian Jizi. The Demon King must be born? Perfected Xian Jizi silently muttered this sentence. He took the heavenly reincarnation seal and turned to leave. However, he stopped and said, My lord, your cultivation is heaven-defying, and you have done so much for the human race. Why are you not willing to stand up and admit all of this? Why did you choose to play dead? Back then, the silhouette being sent so many assassins to assassinate you. You could have just destroyed the silhouette being, couldn't you? I don't want to participate in the disputes of this world. Many things are not as simple as you think. Go. Jian Ingchen Feng's eyes revealed a trace of loneliness. The sword in his hand split into 9, and then gradually transformed into the figure of Xiao Shuai. Xiao Shuai jumped onto his shoulder and squinted his eyes in satisfaction. Mu Yu's eyes widened. He turned his head to look at Xiao Shuai on his shoulder and found that Xiao Shuai was also looking at his other self in confusion. Sword Spirit, we have interfered with this world. Do you think we did the right thing? Jian Ingchen Feng stroked the Sword Spirit's white hair with a trace of helplessness in his eyes. I don't know. Anyway, the food in this world is very delicious. I quite like to eat it. The Sword Spirit in Jian Ingchen Feng's hand said heartlessly. Yes. Once we are involved, it will be very difficult to stand by and do nothing. Jian Ing Chen Feng gradually disappeared with the sealed Sand Eagle Demon King. Xiao Shuai, who was on Mu Yu's shoulder, blinked his eyes and looked at himself leaving. He wagged his tail and said, "Why can't I remember these things? So my name is Sword Spirit. What a terrible name. It's not as good as Xiao Shuai." Mu Yu smiled. It turned out that the relationship between little Shuai and Master was so close. But what happened that caused little Shuai to become a strange egg again and become muddle-headed? He also stroked Xiao Shuai's white hair and suddenly had an unprecedented sense of closeness to Xiao Shuai. Xiao Shuai was so important to his master, but his master left Xiao Shuai to Mu Yu. Thinking that he was quite rude to Xiao Shuai every time, he felt a little guilty. "Mu Yu, let's hurry and find Big Sister Qiao Shui. I want Big Sister Qiao Shui to hug me," Xiao Shuai said with a face full of anticipation. Mu Yu's guilty feelings toward Xiao Shuai suddenly disappeared. This guy's image of a good child in his heart could not be maintained for more than a few minutes. He scolded, "What hug? Only I can hug Qiao Shui." "Me too. You carry Xiao Mo." Chapter 649. This time, Mu Yu was transported to a space filled with rows and rows of candles. The candlelight flickered, swaying left and right. The candles didn't have bases. They all floated in the air, layer by layer. He couldn't see the top, nor could he see his surroundings. As far as the eye could see, all he could see were the burning candles. "What is this place?" Mu Yu looked around. He tried to fly upwards for a while, but even after a quarter of an hour, he couldn't see any exit. He was still surrounded by countless candles. Mu Yu believed that these candles were some kind of array formation. The floating candles were arranged in a very orderly manner, but when he tried to think about it carefully, he was confused. He couldn't see anything at all. It didn't seem like a formation. "What did you just see?" At that moment, specks of yellow light floated out from the candlelight. Gradually, they formed enlightened Master Xianjizi's image around Mu Yu. He appeared in front of Mu Yu. Enlightened Master Xianjizi looked deeply at Mu Yu. His eyes shone with a strange light. What memory is it this time? Having experienced so many battles, Mu Yu wasn't too surprised by enlightened Master Xianjizi's sudden appearance. He was already mentally prepared to deal with any unexpected situations. At the same time, he looked around to see who enlightened Master Xianjizi was talking to. "It's just you and me here, isn't it?" said enlightened Master Xianjizi. Mu Yu's mouth fell open. He thought the enlightened Master Xianjizi in front of him was just an image. Now it seemed that this was enlightened Master Xianjizi's remaining consciousness. He hurriedly bowed and said, "Senior, I saw how the Sand Eagle Demon King and the White Ape Demon King were sealed. Can the others who entered the Yao Sealing Pagoda see these images too?" Enlightened Master Xianjizi smiled and said, "Others can't see it. I'm the one who showed it to you. You've seen Akatsuki before, and you're Lord Sword Shadow Dust Wind's disciple. You have his sword spirit by your side, and you're also the leader of the Formation Glyph School. That's why I think you need to know more about the past." Mu Yu nodded thoughtfully, but there were still many things he did not understand. What kind of existence is the Moon Clan? Why did they want to destroy the second heaven? What is the White Ape Demon King resisting? Taoist Master Xianjizi stretched out his hand and lightly swiped across the air. A few candles flew over and revolved around his fingertip. The Moon Clan is not something from this world. This involves the secrets of the second heaven and the third heaven. Of course, there are also connections to other worlds. I don't know what the Moon Clan is, because they are too powerful. The Akatsuki you saw was only one of their soldiers. I'm afraid only your master knows about this. But master has been framed by a scoundrel, and he will soon. Mu Yu clenched his teeth and briefly explained the matter of the threefold palace and the immortal confining prison. Taoist Master Xian Jizi was silent for a long time, then said, "I didn't know that the current palace lord of the threefold palace would do such a thing. The threefold palace was originally responsible for the survival of the human race. In my time, the threefold palace did not rely on soul power." According to Taoist Master Xian Jizi's description, 5,000 years ago, the threefold palace was still on the side of justice. He just did not understand why it had changed now. The human heart is the most difficult thing in the world to understand. 1,000 years is enough to change the sea into mulberry field. Righteousness can also become evil. Taoist Master Xian Jizi sighed. "Senior, please point me in the right direction. How can I find the threefold palace?" Mu Yu asked earnestly. "The threefold palace is at the entrance of reincarnation. They are responsible for guarding all the dead humans so that they can safely enter reincarnation and be reborn. They are equivalent to the emissaries of souls," Taoist Master Xian Jizi said. "How can I find the entrance to reincarnation?" Mu Yu was slightly shocked. Even his master, Jian Ing Chen Feng, had said that reincarnation was an extremely mysterious power. Back then, the 5 spirit lords Yu Meng had been sent into reincarnation by him, attaching themselves to the bodies of Mu Yu and the others, who should have died prematurely. The threefold palace guarded the entrance to reincarnation. It was no wonder that they could obtain the power of any dead person on the threefold continent. "You can find it by following the soul," Taoist Master Xian Jizi said softly. Mu Yu clenched his fist. "There are 2 extremely powerful formations placed on your body. One of them is a protection given to you at the cost of one's life. The blood shield obscures the heavens, allowing you to avoid the power of reincarnation. The other is an extremely complicated sealing formation. Even I am unable to undo it." Taoist Master Xian Jizi frowned. Mu Yu thought of Taoist Master Xian Jizi's domain of formations. He hurriedly asked, "Senior, is there any ability that can heal the soul?" He showed the soul anchor formation on the jade pendant to Taoist Master Xian Jizi. Within it, the wound on Deadwood Daddy's chest was still ghastly. Taoist Master Xian Jizi stared at the soul anchor formation in shock. "Who invented this formation?" Mu Yu sighed. "The person inside the formation." Taoist Master Xian Jizi's eyes revealed a trace of amazement. "This formation is incredible. It's far more powerful than the soul-controlling techniques used by the people of the Gate of Hell. It has many unique uses. This is the first time I've seen them." "Senior, are you able to save him? He's extremely important to me." Mu Yu bowed again. Taoist Master Xian Jizi thought for a moment, then said, "To heal the soul, you'll have to do what the people of the Gate of Hell do and extract the souls of others to heal yourself. Otherwise, you'll have to use an extremely powerful magic treasure. The most precious treasure of the people of the Gate of Hell, soul transference." Soul transference? Mu Yu was extremely shocked. This was because the people of the Gate of Hell were also looking for this item. "Senior, do you have a magic treasure called soul transference?" Mu Yu recalled that Gui Han had entered the Yao Sealing Pagoda to search for this item. Didn't that mean soul transference had fallen into Taoist Master Xian Jizi's hands? However, Taoist Master Xian Jizi shook his head. "That belongs to the people of the Gate of Hell. I don't have it." Mu Yu looked at Taoist Master Xian Jizi in confusion. If Taoist Master Xian Jizi said he didn't have it, then what was Gui Han looking for? "The people of the Gate of Hell came here to search for soul transference, but they seem to have lost it." Mu Yu told Taoist Master Xian Jizi what he'd heard that day. Taoist Master Xian Jizi's expression slowly turned serious. "I understand. It seems they're planning to return to the past to search for soul transference." "Return to the past? That's possible?" Mu Yu's eyes widened. Taoist Master Xian Jizi nodded. One of the abilities of the Skypierce reincarnation seal is to return to the past. What? Mu Yu's jaw dropped. He'd been holding the Skypierce reincarnation seal this morning. Originally, he didn't know how to use it, but he didn't expect it to have such a heaven-defying ability. He suddenly thought of something. If he used the Skypierce reincarnation seal to return to the moment when his master had set up the immortal confining prison, all he had to do was go back and tell his master that he couldn't trust the three-layered palace. Then, his master wouldn't have lost his cultivation, and there wouldn't have been so much trouble. Deadwood Daddy wouldn't have been in trouble. With his master's cultivation, he could have prevented everything that happened today. Wasn't that perfect? Changing the past is very dangerous, Taoist Master Xian Jizi continued, his expression solemn. Dangerous? Mu Yu didn't understand. Everything in this world moves forward. Once something in the past is changed, then everything else is likely to change. You can't predict what will happen in another timeline. Even the person who went back to change time will die. That way, the past won't be changed. Thus, the past can't be changed. It can only be seen, Taoist Master Xian Jizi said. Can't be changed? Mu Yu thought for a long time and quickly understood. It was like if he went back to the past and accidentally killed his newborn self, then he wouldn't have grown up and he wouldn't have come here. He wouldn't have been able to go back to the past, so he wouldn't have been able to kill himself. This was a paradox. Thus, to a certain extent, time couldn't be changed. Mu Yu remembered what Gui Yezi had said to Gui Pei Ming before entering the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. You don't need to interfere with anything. You just need to watch from the sidelines. So that was what Gui Yezi meant back then. When Gui Laochi was in the Sea Demon King's palace, he was tricked by Mu Yu into revealing the truth. It seemed that the soul returned to the heart had been stolen by someone. Perhaps even the people of Hell's Gate did not know who this person was. Gui Laochi cherished his life and wanted to return to the past to investigate this person's true identity. Presumably, the people from the Gate of Hell also knew that the past couldn't be changed. That was why Gui Yezi had told Gui Pei Ming not to waste his energy trying to change anything. He just needed to find out who had stolen their sect's most precious treasure, soul conversion. In short, this involves a very difficult phenomenon to explain. Even if you go back to the past, you won't be able to change anything. You won't be able to leave a trace in the past, but you can see what happened in the past from a bystander's point of view and change the future, Taoist Master Xian Jizi said. I can't change the past, but I can change the future? That's really strange, Mu Yu said. What Taoist Master Xian Jizi said about changing the future was easy to explain. For example, if a person was killed, and the killer's methods were clean and tidy, there was no way to find the killer. The killer continued to kill, and many more people would die. But if after the killer killed a person, someone went back to the past and saw the killer's appearance, then they could come back and catch the killer. That way, no one else would die at the killer's hands, and the people who were killed would live. Their survival was equivalent to changing the future. However, the future was something that hadn't happened in the first place. No one could say for sure how seeing the past would change the future. All they could say was that going back to the past would make the future even more unstable. This was because going back to the past and discovering dusty truths could change many people's decisions. Sometimes it could lead things to the point of no return. The people from the Gate of Hell should be able to find the floor where the Sky Spill Reincarnation Seal is. The Sky Spill Reincarnation Seal can be opened in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. If the people from the Gate of Hell want to know where soul conversion is, this treasure might change many things. You should do your best to stop them from going back to the past. Taoist Master Xian Jizi said. Me? Stop them? Senior, can't you stop them yourself? Mu Yu asked. Taoist Master Xian Jizi shook his head. I'm just a remnant of my consciousness. I don't have the power to do anything, and I can't leave this place. I can only show you a few things, but I can't stop what happens next. Senior, can you tell me which floor the Sky Spill reincarnation seal is on? Muyu asked. When he used the Sky Spill reincarnation seal to open the Yao ceiling pagoda, it had disappeared. He had no idea where it had gone. Muyu and the others had been randomly teleported away. He couldn't see where the others were. The Sky Spill reincarnation seal is on the 81st floor. You're currently on the 27th floor. You'll have to go there yourself. There's not much I can do, and my consciousness is about to disappear. Taoist Master Xian Jizi's figure slowly faded away, leaving only his voice echoing in the candlelight. If you're Lord Sword Shadow Dust Wind's disciple, then you should shoulder the responsibility of protecting this world. I won't just hand the Yao ceiling pagoda over to you. If you want to control the Yao ceiling pagoda, you'll have to rely on your own strength. If you can't do that, then you can't talk about protecting the third heaven. Muyu shouted. Then where is the exit to this floor? Chapter 650. Little Commander, you knew about the heavenly reincarnation seal back then. What do you think of this matter? Muyu asked. I don't know. This old man is actually right. Many times, a careless decision can change the future. It can even lead to the destruction of the world, Little Commander said. Then, Little Commander suddenly changed to a low and hoarse voice. If many truths are destined to be hidden, then they shouldn't be known by others. Dragon Vine interrupted. Little Rat, why are you such a charlatan? That last sentence doesn't sound like your line. Little Commander puffed out his chest. Can't I become more literary? Dragon Vine curled his lips. You must have learned Jian Ing Qinfeng's words. However, I still don't understand. Why can't the past be changed? We can be careful and avoid killing people. Are you stupid? Let me give you an example. For example, if I went back in time and accidentally threw a huge rock in the middle of the road, causing a mortal granny to trip. At that moment, a pregnant lady happened to walk by and help the granny up. In the end, the granny insisted that the lady had knocked her down and started to extort money. The lady had no evidence that the granny tripped herself. Then, the government ordered the lady to pay 100 taels. The lady couldn't afford it and hung herself in anger. This pregnant lady originally wouldn't have died. Her 81st descendant was originally Mu Yu's mother. However, because the lady died and the child in her stomach was gone, Mu Yu's mother also ceased to exist. This way, Mu Yu also ceased to exist. Then, no one saved you, big earthworm, and you were refined into medicine. Why are you still talking nonsense with me? Mu Yu rolled his eyes and resisted the urge to smack him. Little Commander, are you courting death? Do you have to use me as an example? Dragon Vine nodded thoughtfully. I understand. You really have a bad hand. You threw a rock randomly and ended up destroying Muyu. F***ck, is that the main point? I just listed a series of catastrophic events that a rock could cause. I could also have farted in the past and caused the climate of the third heaven to warm up, destroying the ecological balance of plants like you, Dragon Vine. If you can't live for 10,000 years, you don't have to appear here. How could such a thing be predicted? Therefore, the rule of the heavenly Tao is that the past cannot be changed. Otherwise, many things will contradict themselves. Little Commander scolded. Although Little Shuai was a little muddle-headed, he still understood a lot of things. Alright, let's hurry up and think of a way to get out of here. Mu Yu sat down cross-legged and began to ponder Adept Xian Jizi's words. The direction of the heart was the exit. Mu Yu slowly calmed himself down. He looked at the sky full of candlelight and quickly understood how to get out. The flickering candlelight flickered in his heart, and then gradually transformed into 2 large doors. At the door, there was a little hansom hanging upside down, drooling, picking its nose, and scratching its butt. This was the exit that Mu Yu had imagined, and he could transform the exit into anything he wanted. However, the words 27 were written on the door, indicating that this was the 27th floor of the Yaoxiling Pagoda. This was something Mu Yu could not change. Mu Yu, why are you making fun of me? Little Shuai shouted in dissatisfaction. I'm not making fun of you. You're usually like this. Mu Yu laughed and then led Little Shuai and Long Ting toward the door. He didn't know which floor the door led to, but Mu Yu guessed that the door on the left would lead up, and the door on the right would lead down. If he really went in the wrong direction, he could just go back again. If he wanted to go to the 81st floor, he had to go up. This time, he really stepped onto a floor that looked decent. At least he could see the 20-meter-tall ceiling. It was a little too high and he could see the windows around him. But before he could steady himself, a cold voice came from the side. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Last time, you were lucky enough to escape. Let's see where you're going this time. Long Xingyun also appeared on this floor. This tower has a total of 99 floors. I can't believe I'm running into you here. Mu Yu looked at Long Xingyun with disgust. Seeing a bastard makes me feel bad again. Long Ting also stood on Mu Yu's shoulder with a look of disgust. Long Xingyun's face twisted. Long Ting's words hurt his self-esteem, but the real dragon's bloodline was right in front of him. As long as he could catch Long Ting, extract Long Ting's bloodline, and merge it with his body, he would become the successor of the Azure Dragon dynasty. Just thinking about it made him crazy. You're dead today, Long Xingyun said fiercely. Oh my god. The bad guy's opening line is the same. So annoying. Don't you know that Long Yeli was beaten to a pulp by me? If you want to die, then come over. If you don't want to die, then get out of my way. I don't have time to play house with you. Mu Yu saw the stairs on the other side of the tower. It was the passage to the next floor. Long Xingyun laughed coldly. Yeli lost to you because he was careless. By the way, let me tell you something. My true strength is much stronger than his. Long Xingyun yelled, and his aura skyrocketed. A powerful green dragon scale appeared in his hand, and he stuck it on his forehead. The green dragon scale seemed to contain an enormous amount of spiritual energy. It instantly raised Long Xingyun's cultivation to a whole new level. Long Xingyun, who was originally at the severed soul stage, had reached the body integration stage. Isn't that the scale on the big earthworm? Little Marshall asked curiously. Long Ting was shocked. The scale has the same aura as me, but it's stronger than me. Of course it's stronger than you. This is the dragon scale vital energy that my grandfather gave to me. My grandfather is a real dragon. I am his descendant. I am the most qualified to inherit his position, not an outsider like you. Long Xingyun's aura surged. The dragon scale seemed to have injected endless dragon clan vital energy into him. It made his aura extremely powerful. It really overshadowed Long Yeli's aura. It seemed like the green dragon monster king valued Long Xingyun, who had 90% true dragon bloodline. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given Long Xingyun a dragon scale that contained his own Jin Yuan. Such a precious item was quite rare in the dragon race. Long Xingyun wouldn't have been willing to use it under normal circumstances. Once his vital energy was used up, it would be gone. If it weren't for the fact that he wanted to capture Long Ting and absorb her bloodline to become a real dragon, he wouldn't have taken it out. Mu Yu had to be careful. Long Xingyun had used the dragon scale vital energy from the green dragon monster king to increase his cultivation by so much. He was probably as strong as Gui Cherishing Life. When Mu Yu was fighting Gui Cherishing Life, he used his cultivation technique to restrain Gui Cherishing Life. However, when it came to Long Xingyun, he didn't have any advantage. Looks like I have no choice. I can only find a way to skin him and pull out his tendons. Mu Yu grabbed He Lienkong's soul weapon. His powerful soul power instantly enveloped him and raised his aura to the form synthesis stage. As he spoke, Long Xingyun's hands turned into dragon claws and pounced at Mu Yu. Mu Yu's array runes appeared from his hands and covered his body. The shadow swords flew out from the ripples in the void. Sword chi shot out in all directions and met Long Xingyun's black dragon claws. The shadow swords and the dragon claws clashed with each other. A terrifying aura swept out and hit the walls of the demon ceiling pagoda. However, the demon ceiling pagoda was intact. This kind of treasure was not something that a form synthesis stage cultivator could destroy. Mu Yu could feel the powerful energy from Long Xingyun. He couldn't help but admire the green dragon monster king. A small piece of dragon scale could increase Long Xingyun's strength by so much. It was really amazing. Long Xingyun's claws were like fine iron. They could even tear the air apart. He was very fast and reached for Mu Yu's throat. Many members of the demon clan were best at close combat. After all, their bodies were demon beasts. Their physiques were incomparably strong, several levels higher than humans. Therefore, close combat was their favorite way of fighting. However, Mu Yu's close combat was not weak either. After all, he was a swordsman. He dodged the claw and kicked Long Xingyun's knee. He turned around and went behind Long Xingyun. He stabbed Long Xingyun's shoulder. Long Xingyun sneered. He didn't even try to defend himself. He just let Mu Yu stab him. Just as Mu Yu's sword was about to hit Long Xingyun's body flashed with a green light. The dragon scale on his forehead moved to his shoulder. The scale on his shoulder blocked Mu Yu's shadow swords. Long Xingyun took the opportunity to grab Mu Yu's leg. Mu Yu turned his leg in the air and kicked Long Xingyun's face. However, Long Xingyun's dragon scale flashed again and blocked Mu Yu's kick. Mu Yu felt like he had kicked a steel plate. A huge force came from his leg. To make matters worse, Long Xingyun grabbed Mu Yu's leg with his right claw. A strong tearing force spread all over Mu Yu's leg. A powerful dragon essence entered Mu Yu's body. Damn, this guy is not bad. Mu Yu's meridians were violently impacted by the strange dragon essence. Even though his meridians were tyrannical, several of them were still broken. If it weren't for the black and white spirit chi that quickly poured out to dissolve the dragon essence, perhaps he would have been seriously injured. The dragon essence didn't come from Long Xingyun. It came from the Green Dragon Monster King's dragon scale. It was just a piece of Green Dragon Monster King's dragon scale, but it already had such terrifying power. Die! Long Xingyun sneered. His left claw was already swinging down. Mu Yu's foot was grabbed and he couldn't move. His hand immediately formed a green formation. Wind flower grafting tree formation. A black formation vortex appeared under Long Xingyun's left dragon claw. At this moment, Long Xingyun's claw had already landed on the black vortex. At the same time, a white vortex appeared above Long Xingyun's right hand. A powerful claw force came out of the white vortex and returned all of Long Xingyun's claw force to himself. The green dragon scale appeared on Long Xingyun's right hand again and blocked his attack. However, the powerful dragon essence still knocked his hand away from Mu Yu. Mu Yu finally broke free and quickly put some distance between him and Long Xingyun. Good one, kid. You really are something. Long Xingyun waved his hand arrogantly and crushed the two rune vortexes created by Mu Yu. Then, he charged at Mu Yu again. With the Green Dragon Monster King's dragon scale, Long Xingyun didn't need to worry about defense. He only needed to attack. No matter where Mu Yu hit him, the dragon scale would block the attack for him. Mu Yu couldn't just attack and not defend like Long Xingyun. Damn it, this guy is just a fox pretending to be a tiger, Long Ting said in disdain. Say, Long Ting, his dragon scale is so powerful. When will you give me one? I can fight as fearlessly as him. To be honest, Mu Yu was quite envious of Long Ting. Okay, I'll give you a few more when I grow up. Long Ting was very generous. Chapter 651. As he spoke, Long Xingyun pounced at Mu Yu again. With a sharp palm strike, he arrived before Mu Yu in an instant. Mu Yu refused to believe it. His body had been refined by the black and white spiritual energy of the netherworld grass. Every time he was injured, his body would become stronger. How could it be weaker than Long Xingyun's dragon claw? Mu Yu gathered the black and white spiritual energy in his body. One black and one white spiritual energy occupied each of his hands. His right hand was covered in a white glow. His life force was trembling violently. Without the restriction of the death aura, it needed to be released quickly. Otherwise, Mu Yu's arm would explode. Long Xingyun's right hand was also glowing with a strong green glow. He smiled evilly and transferred the dragon scale to his fist. The powerful dragon scale contained the dragon cloud of a true dragon. It was extremely powerful and indestructible. In Long Xingyun's opinion, no matter how powerful Mu Yu's sword skills were, his body was no match for his. Seeing that Mu Yu wanted to fight him head-on, Long Xingyun sneered in his heart. He increased the power in his fist again. Spiritual energy gathered in his fist and flowed continuously. He threw a punch. Boom! The air in the air was stirred up violently. It was as if it was being squeezed and exploded violently. With the help of the dragon scale, Long Xingyun's strength had reached a terrifying level. Long Xingyun could already imagine the scene of Mu Yu's right hand cracking inch by inch. He even wanted to crush Mu Yu's arm and break all the bones in his body in an instant so that Mu Yu could no longer interfere with his plan of obtaining the true dragon bloodline. At the same time, Mu Yu's fist, which was filled with boundless life force, was swung out and collided with Long Xingyun's. Bang! 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 A series of earth-shattering collisions rang out like a chain reaction. Violent spiritual energy exploded from the center of their fists. If it weren't for the fact that the Tower of Demon Subduing Pagoda was incomparably sturdy, this attack would have been enough to turn the entire area into ruins. Long Xingyun and Mu Yu both quickly backed away. Their fists collided, but no one had the upper hand. However, Long Xingyun's heart was in turmoil. His fist was filled with his grandpa's dragon scale vital energy. How could he only be evenly matched with Mu Yu? Not only was this guy's sword skills amazing, but his body was also this strong? Mu Yu rotated his wrist. He was also quite concerned about Xingyun's dragon scale. He rarely used his physical body when fighting with others because he had extremely powerful swordsmanship and array technique. He didn't need to fight with others at all. Today's clash with Long Xingyun was only on a whim. But facing the strengthened Long Xingyun, he didn't have the upper hand at all. Even the strength of this guy's physical body is so strong? Long Xingyun frowned. The Green Dragon Monster King's dragon scale returned to the center of his forehead, making him look even more demonic. The white and black light on Mu Yu's right hand alternated. The black light was filled with death chi, and the white light was filled with life chi. They intertwined and restricted each other. Suddenly, a bold idea came to his mind. It seems like your dragon scales are only SOSO. I thought your dragon race was more powerful. Mu Yu said with a smile. Mu Yu, you're wrong. We true dragons are very powerful. It's just that this bastard is embarrassing us. Long Ting didn't hide the disdain in his heart. Every time Long Xingyun heard the word bastard, he would be furious. It was something the dragons didn't want to admit. They did everything they could to become a pure true dragon. But after so many years, other than the Green Dragon Monster King, no other true dragon had appeared. In order to become a true dragon, gain the Green Dragon Monster King's approval, and become the leader of the Green Dragon Dynasty, Long Xingyun did everything he could. He even killed his own kind to absorb their blood to make his true dragon bloodline stronger. Now that he saw Mu Yu with a true dragon, how could he let it go? If I catch you, I'll be a true dragon. Long Xingyun snorted. His dragon claw glowed with a powerful green light again, and he swung his fist at Mu Yu again. Mu Yu reached out his right hand. This time, his right hand was no longer glowing with white light. Instead, it was glowing with a deadly black light. The black light flickered as if it was going to erode everything around it, including Mu Yu's own right hand. Before the black light could devour Mu Yu's right hand, Mu Yu's right hand turned into a palm energy and met Long Xingyun's fist head-on. When the fist and palm collided, the black light in Mu Yu's right hand stopped devouring his right hand. Instead, it turned to devour Long Xingyun's fist energy. Long Xingyun was shocked. He realized that his fist had once again landed in a bottomless pit. Not only that, but the dragon essence in his body was also being sucked away by Mu Yu's right hand. The black light on Mu Yu's fist was like a powerful whirlpool. Long Xingyun couldn't even pull his fist back in time. "What did you do to me?" Long Xingyun roared in anger. "You'll understand." The deadly aura in Mu Yu's right hand devoured all of Long Xingyun's fist energy. At the same time, his left hand lit up with a dazzling white light. A surge of dragon essence surged in the white light as he smashed it at Long Xingyun's chest. Bang! Long Xingyun felt his chest tighten as a powerful force slammed into it. But what shocked him was that the force came from the dragon scale itself. The power of the dragon scale was used on him, but the dragon scale he was relying on was on his fist. It was sucked in by Mu Yu and couldn't be moved in time. In the blink of an eye, a few of Long Xingyun's ribs were broken. He was sent flying and crashed into the wall of the Yao ceiling tower, then fell to the ground. Using the black and white spiritual energy like this is much more powerful than using the wind-wind technique alone. Mu Yu's right hand was seriously corroded by the deadly aura. It was even broken, but the life force was already healing his damaged hand. This was the first time he took the initiative to use the black and white spiritual energy separately. He temporarily blocked the white spiritual energy from flowing into his right hand and covered it with the deadly aura. The deadly aura could devour everything, so it also devoured the power of Long Xingyun's powerful fist. Mu Yu then used the wind-wind technique to transfer the power to his left fist. His fist was already filled with the life force that was about to explode. Now that it had gathered his opponent's power, it would naturally be even more powerful. What Mu Yu did was actually very dangerous. The black and white spiritual energy in Mu Yu's body was in balance. If he stopped the white spiritual energy from flowing to his hand, then his hand would have to bear the brunt of the black spiritual energy's destructive power. If he wasn't careful, his hand would be devoured in an instant. He had to grasp the right time to use it. Otherwise, his hand would be destroyed before he could devour his opponent's attack. Long Xingyun got up angrily. As a shifter, his original form was a shifter. He also had the bloodline of the Green Dragon Shifter King. His physical fitness was top-notch. But Mu Yu broke his ribs with one punch. This was extremely humiliating. Unforgivable! Long Xingyun roared. His bones began to crackle. His body rapidly changed. In the blink of an eye, he transformed into his original form. A black dragon python appeared in front of Mu Yu. At this time, the dragon scale vital energy had spread out evenly and covered his entire body. All the scales on his body had turned into the green dragon scales of the green dragon. The scales on his body looked exactly the same as Long Ting's. "Bastard, how dare you defile my body?" Mu Yu beat him up. Long Ting was very angry. "You want to defeat me? You're not strong enough." Long Xingyun suddenly straightened his body. A green light began to flow from his body. Then, the green light gradually gathered on top of his giant python head. The Dragonstar meteor snake opened its mouth and spat out a violent dragon breath. It turned into countless sharp snake fangs in the air and shot toward Mu Yu. F***ck, I can't take it anymore. Mu Yu, let me teach him what a real dragon breath is. Long Ting saw that Long Xingyun's dragon breath was actually snake fangs. The proud true dragon couldn't take it anymore. His body suddenly expanded. The wind heart-linking array appeared under Mu Yu's feet and covered Long Ting. The shadow sword Qi soared into the sky. The biting cold sword Qi instantly turned into a majestic green dragon and was swallowed by Long Ting. Then, Long Ting's momentum rose. With the help of Mu Yu's spiritual energy, he also had the momentum of the form synthesis stage. Long Xingyun was also shocked by Long Ting's dragon form. He was really jealous. This was the body of a true dragon that he had always wanted. The final form that he had always dreamed of. Bastard, this is the real dragon breath. Long Ting opened his mouth and spat out a huge dragon breath. The dragon breath turned into thousands of small dragons in the air. They nimbly and excitedly collided with the snake fangs in the sky. Boom! The small dragons and the snake fangs collided. Long Ting and Long Xingyun were both knocked back. Mu Yu's hand also appeared. Runes appeared behind Long Ting and stabilized his body. Big earthworm, don't you usually turn your dragon breath into a sword? Why are there so many small earthworms today? Xiao Shuai yelled. Of course I have to use my noble dragon form to deal with a bastard. Let him know what a real true dragon is, humph. Long Ting said arrogantly. Mu Yu was speechless. Long Ting had just said that Long Xingyun was a fox who relied on Mu Yu's spiritual energy to forcibly increase his strength. But when Long Ting attacked, he also relied on Mu Yu's spiritual energy to forcibly increase his strength. However, Mu Yu wouldn't stop Long Ting from torturing him. He also didn't like how Long Xingyun was always eyeing Long Ting covetously. He had never taken the initiative to provoke Long Xingyun. Long Ting wanted to kill him for the true dragon bloodline. It wouldn't be too much to let Long Ting humiliate Long Xingyun. Looks like this is a battle for the dignity of the dragon race. I won't participate in the rest of the battle. Xiao Shuai, quickly prepare some melon seeds, fruits, and mineral water. Let's watch the show. Mu Yu waved his hand and retreated to the corner. Mu Ling had already turned into 2 small stools. Xiao Shuai had already dug out a pile of melon seeds. He threw a handful to Mu Yu and took out a red apple. Go big earthworm! Xiao Shuai cheered as he took a bite of the apple. Long Ting roared majestically. The dragon's roar was long and majestic. It was like a morning bell that struck Long Xingyun's heart. Long Xingyun felt an inexplicable tremble. Long Xingyun stared at Long Ting. The more he looked at Long Ting's body, the more excited he became. That perfect dragon body made his heart tremble. He wanted nothing more than to pounce on Long Ting and take it for himself. Long Ting felt uncomfortable under Long Xingyun's passionate gaze. He yelled, F***CK, is this B***starred a pervert? Why is he looking at me like that? Isn't the dragon race referring to the dragon race? Hurry up and pull out his tendons. Cut the crap. Xiao Shuai yelled. But my sexual orientation is very normal. Long Ting yelled. His entire body was like a sharp sword, piercing toward Long Xingyun. Chapter 652. When Dragon Vine used the wind heart-linking formation, all of its spiritual power came from Mu Yu's body. Therefore, it didn't have to worry about running out of spiritual power. Instead, it was having a good time. After all, it was Mu Yu's spiritual power that was being drained. Although Mu Yu was watching from the side, he was also paying attention to Dragon Vine's condition. After all, Dragon Vine was only in the out-of-body stage. Even with Mu Yu's help, it would still be at a disadvantage when facing Long Xingyun. A true dragon and a false dragon collided, causing an earth-shattering sound to erupt. The dragon's might was vast and mighty as it surged forward, crashing into the surrounding pagoda. The formation under Mu Yu's feet surged, isolating all of the spiritual power. He wasn't affected by the 2 of them. Dragon Vine's spiritual power was obviously purer, but its spiritual power was slightly weaker. However, Mu Yu's formation kept him safe, so Dragon Vine wouldn't be defeated. The two dragons tangled together in the most primitive way in the air. Their sharp claws clashed with each other, creating a sharp whistling sound. The spiritual qi around them became extremely hot. Long Xingyun's fighting ability still had the upper hand. After all, he was the little prince of the dragon race. He had received systematic cultivation and was most familiar with primitive fighting. He had 90% of the real dragon bloodline. Other than his head, his entire body had turned into a real dragon. His fighting ability was already extraordinary. Dragon Vine had been following Mu Yu ever since it turned into a dragon. Other than bickering with little Shuai, it would absorb some of Mu Yu's spiritual power to cultivate. Usually, when it fought with beasts, it would only roar. It didn't have much fighting experience, so Dragon Vine was at a disadvantage. Fortunately, Dragon Vine had sword qi. In the process of fighting with Long Xingyun, Dragon Vine's body was very nimble and sharp. It could always turn danger into safety at the most appropriate moment. Big earthworm, use your horn to hit it. Its branches aren't as powerful as yours. Little Shuai suggested loudly. Dragon Vine's horns were like two sharp spears covered in sword qi. They created a gust of wind in the air and went for Long Xingyun's neck. Long Xingyun was also relying on his dragon scale vital energy to protect himself. He completely ignored Dragon Vine's horns and grabbed the opportunity to grab Dragon Vine's neck. Qi. Dragon Vine's neck was scratched by Long Xingyun, leaving a deep gash. Even the tough dragon scales were shattered. However, when Dragon Vine's dragon horn touched Dragon Starfall, it only created a spark. Dragon Starfall was completely unscathed. Long Xingyun's claws were still stained with Dragon Vine's blood. It looked at the blood on its claws with fanaticism. In the end, it couldn't help but put its claws in its mouth and lick them. The blood of a true dragon tastes so good. F*ck motherf*. What a pervert. Dragon Vine was already humiliated by having his neck scratched. Now that Long Xingyun had provoked him, he was about to explode. It roared and unleashed a violent dragon breath. It turned into a long sword and pierced toward Long Xingyun with a powerful aura. Your sword can't hurt me. Long Xingyun sneered and swallowed Dragon Vine's dragon breath. Pure dragon essence. Not bad. Long Xingyun licked his lips. Little Shuai spat out the melon seeds in his mouth and said in shock, "Is he an idiot?" He even swallowed the giant earthworm's spit. Oh my god, I'm so disgusted. Dragon Vine realized that it couldn't do anything to Long Xingyun, whether it was physical combat or dragon breath. It was getting more and more frustrated. Its self-esteem had been greatly damaged. It was a true dragon, but it couldn't beat a fake dragon. It was extremely humiliating. I hate bastards the most. The Dragon Vine angrily roared. Its eyes were already suffused with a strange green light. A violent dragon essence suddenly soared from its body. This dragon essence was very chaotic. It rampaged within its body, impatiently wanting to find a breakthrough point to pour out. The wind-wind heart-linking formation allowed Mu Yu and Dragon Vine to communicate telepathically. Mu Yu didn't remember Dragon Vine having such a restless dragon essence. It seemed to be produced when Dragon Vine was angered. This dragon essence was too powerful. It was not something Dragon Vine could control. Hey, the giant earthworm seems to be evolving. Is it going to evolve? Little Shuai continued to eat his melon seeds curiously. Evolve? Mu Yu frowned. When Dragon Vine first transformed into a dragon, because it was in a weak stage, its cultivation was only equivalent to a nascent soul stage cultivator. After it fully recovered, its strength stabilized at the out-of-body stage. After that, it didn't improve anymore. Mu Yu guessed that Dragon Vine's strength improved slowly because true dragons were too powerful. The requirements for evolving were very harsh, which made it very difficult for them to break through. In the past, Mu Yu didn't care about Dragonvine's strength. After all, he could deal with many things by himself. But now that the people of the Azure Dragon Dynasty had their eyes on it, Dragonvine couldn't continue to idle around. It had to have some ability to protect itself. If Dragonvine could evolve in today's battle, it would naturally be the best thing. A powerful green light burst out from the Dragonvine's body. Every dragon's scale on its body opened up, and ancient and powerful patterns slowly appeared on the dragon's scales like carvings. Every dragon's scale had a circle of beautiful ripples around it, making the originally ordinary scales become incomparably gorgeous. Originally, the two horns on its head were like ordinary deer antlers, but at this moment there were majestic carvings on the dragon horns. The carvings were overflowing with light, and the Dragonvine's aura increased by a large margin. Dragonvine's domineering aura soared into the sky again. It swept through every corner of the tower, including Long Xingyun. Long Xingyun saw the ancient carvings on Dragonvine's scales. His eyes instantly turned blood-red. Dragon carvings, you can actually activate the carvings on all of your scales. Long Xingyun roared with jealousy. His body also lit up with black light, and the black scales on his body also changed slightly. There were faint lines, but there were only less than 10 dragon scales with lines. It was completely incomparable to the dragon scales on Long Ting's body. Do you have to be so surprised? I'm a real dragon. Dragonvine's eyes were like green pearls. They were extremely clear, but they also flashed with a cold light. Its body shook. It had become a rank 6 demonic beast. Dragonvine roared. The vital energy in its body turned into a surging dragon's breath and blasted it toward Long Xingyun. Long Xingyun still chose to take it head-on. He was fearless because he had the Green Dragon King's dragon scale vital energy. But this time, he was wrong. After evolving, Dragonvine's aura had already reached a new level. It originally relied on Mu Yu's aura to barely fight Long Xingyun. But after becoming a rank 6 demonic beast, it had long surpassed Long Xingyun with the help of Mu Yu's aura. The dragon's breath was extremely powerful. It smashed down like a landslide. The dragon's breath turned into a sharp sword qi and instantly pierced through Long Xingyun's body. Long Xingyun's body stopped in midair. He looked at the big hole in his body in shock. He didn't understand why he couldn't block Dragonvine's attack even though he had the Green Dragon King's dragon scale to protect him. No matter how powerful the Green Dragon King's dragon scale was, it was only one piece. Long Xingyun used it all over his body, which naturally weakened the dragon scale's power. In addition, Long Xingyun had already used the dragon scale to fight Mu Yu. His vital energy had already been depleted by more than half. Now that Dragonvine had evolved into a rank 6 demonic beast, how could he block the combined attack of Mu Yu and Dragonvine? Bang! Long Xingyun's body fell heavily to the ground. He had transformed back into his human form. There was a big bloody hole in his abdomen, but it wasn't fatal. He breathed heavily and stared at Dragonvine with hatred. His aura was gradually weakening. It's our responsibility to crack down on fakes. Dragonvine's eyes flashed with murderous intent. The dragon patterns on its scales flickered again. All the light gathered at its head. An even more powerful dragon's breath was formed inside its body. Then, the dragon's breath blasted down. However, at this moment, a shadow appeared in front of Long Xingyun and blocked Dragonvine's dragon's breath. Young Master Xingyun, are you all right? Long Yeli suddenly appeared on this floor. He blocked Dragonvine's attack and quickly flashed to Long Xingyun's side. He looked at Dragonvine in shock. When he saw the dragon patterns on Dragonvine's body, his pupils shrank. As a member of the dragon race, he couldn't be more familiar with the dragon patterns. Do you want to die as well? Dragonvine stared at Long Yeli, who suddenly appeared and attacked again. In order to protect Long Xingyun, Long Yeli went forward. Mu Yu's eyes turned cold. He had already appeared in front of Long Yelly. When Long Yelly saw Muyu, his heart skipped a beat. Back then, he had lost to Muyu in the Battle of the Bone Warriors. That incident still left a shadow in his heart. However, it was too late to stop now. Long Yelly could only take a punch from Muyu and retreated to Long Xingyun's side. Should we call for help? We have a lot of helpers here. Little Shuai held the sunflower seeds and landed on Muyu's shoulder. Its body was already emitting blue electric sparks. Long Yelly looked at Muyu and then at Dragon Vine. Without saying anything, he picked up Long Xingyun and rushed to the exit below. You want to run? Dragon Vine wanted to chase after him, but Muyu stopped Dragon Vine. Muyu frowned and said, Don't try to show off. You're in a terrible condition right now. Hurry up and recover. Dragon Vine had just evolved. Although it had activated some of its potential as a true dragon, it hadn't stabilized its realm yet. It forcefully exchanged a blow with Long Xingyun. It seemed that it had won fair and square, but in fact, it was Muyu who had helped it in the dark. I don't like bastards. Dragon Vine's body gradually shrank. Its breathing also became chaotic. It lay on Muyu's shoulder and muttered, It's useless even if you don't like it. Our target this time is the people from the Gate of Hell. Save your energy to deal with the people from the Gate of Hell. Let me help you stabilize your cultivation first. Although Muyu really wanted to kill Long Xingyun so that he wouldn't come looking for trouble, Dragon Vine wasn't in a good condition right now. He was worried that something would happen to Dragon Vine, so he gave up the idea of chasing after him. He carefully checked Dragon Vine's current condition. He found that Dragon Vine's meridians were also damaged. These meridians had exploded because it had forcefully used more power than its body could bear. Moreover, it had just evolved and was still very weak. Muyu transferred his spiritual energy into Dragon Vine's body to repair Dragon Vine's meridians. His spiritual energy was black and white, but this strange state only existed in his body. As long as the black and white spiritual energy didn't separate, it would turn into a normal green color when it left his body. It had a strong vitality and could heal people. Dragon Vine's injuries quickly stabilized. Now, it only needed to rest for a while to recover. Muyu stood up and walked to the exit. He glanced at the exit and suddenly found that something was wrong. The number 19 was written above the exit. Wait, didn't we just go up from 27? Shouldn't this floor be 28? Why is it 19 now? Chapter 653. Enlightened Master Xian Jizi didn't tell Muyu much about the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. He did say that if Muyu wanted to control the pagoda, he would have to rely on his own understanding. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to take on the responsibility of saving the world. Muyu didn't want to be the savior of the world. As long as he was happy doing what he wanted to do, that was good enough. But enlightened Master Xian Jizi didn't give him a chance to explain, so Muyu didn't have time to ask for more details. We just went from the 27th floor to the 19th. What's going on? Muyu stopped at the entrance of the passage. He thought for a moment, then decided to walk down the passage. He walked past a curtain of water and came to a place where he couldn't see his own fingers. He turned his head and used the shadow sword light to look at the passage they came from. This time, the passage had the number 39 written on it. Strange. Are we going to randomly walk around like this? Little Shuai asked curiously. Muyu found it strange as well. The entrance and exit of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda seemed to change at any time. How were they supposed to get to the 81st floor? Were they supposed to stay here and try their luck? Let's see what's on this floor first. Why do I feel so scared? Dragon Vine muttered. It was pitch black all around. Gusts of chilly wind were blowing from an unknown place, making their bodies feel chilly. Moreover, from time to time, strange whispers could be heard coming from the darkness. It sounded like something was grinding its teeth, making one's hair stand on end. God says, "Let there be light." Little Shuai snapped his fingers, and a few luminous pearls floated out of his hand. The gentle light dispelled the darkness and illuminated the area before them. They seemed to have arrived in a prison. All sorts of iron bars came into view. The bars glowed with a cold light, and there were streams of light flashing across them. But they couldn't see what was behind the bars. Muyu approached the bars on the right. He wanted to let the light shine through to see what was behind the bars, but he found that there were runes on the bars that repelled him. The light couldn't shine in too much, so he couldn't see what was behind the bars. However, Muyu still felt a sense of danger, as if something unknown was hiding in the darkness behind the fence. Muyu moved all the luminous pearls in the air over, intending to let more light shine into the iron fence. However, the darkness behind the iron fence seemed to be able to swallow the light from the luminous pearls. Muyu still couldn't see anything behind the iron fence. Just as Muyu was wondering if he was hallucinating, he suddenly heard a bang as a horn hit the iron fence. Following that, an ugly and disgusting face appeared in front of him. It was an extremely distorted face, as if it had been scalded by boiling water. It had not completely healed, and layers of rotten flesh were stuck to its face. There were even red feathers growing out of its face. Its mouth was thin and long like a crack. "Damn it! It's a flesh-winged horned monster!" Little Handsome shouted in disgust. "This is a real flesh-winged horned monster, not an illusion." Muyu never expected to see a flesh-winged horned monster here. He didn't know much about the flesh-winged horned monsters. He only knew that they didn't belong to this world. The 10 demon kings were also sealed because of these ugly creatures. The specific truth was still unknown. The flesh-winged horned monsters had different colors. Muyu saw the flesh-winged horned monster in the sky burial valley of the Moyen mountain range was red, but this one was orange. Human, I haven't seen a human for thousands of years. How nostalgic. The flesh-winged horned monster in front of him laughed eerily. Is it a lowly human? Sure enough, it's an ant. Let us go. Following that, the fences all around them were banging against each other. Countless flesh-winged horned monsters squeezed to the edge of the fence and smiled eerily at Muyu. Their eyes were full of contempt and anger, and their ugly faces were full of arrogance. More and more banging sounds were heard. Muyu realized that there were countless flesh-winged horned monsters locked in the fences here. The flesh-winged horned monsters of different colors were locked up separately. Each of them looked very weak. Perhaps because they had been locked up for a long time, their auras were at most at the spirit-severing stage. There were even some at the out-of-body stage. Was it that bastard Xianjizi who sent you? A yellow flesh-winged horned monster asked darkly. No, he has the sword qi of Jian Yingchen Feng on him. He's Jian Yingchen Feng's successor. Jian Yingchen Feng. Sooner or later, I'll cut him into pieces. He actually stopped our Moon Clan's plan to destroy the third heaven and locked us up in this dark place for 5,000 years. I'll never let him go. All the flesh-winged horned monsters began to speak ruthlessly, as if they had an irreconcilable hatred for Jian Yingchen Feng. Their anger was monstrous, as if their ancestral graves had been dug up. Muyu looked at these flesh-winged horned monsters with disgust and said, "You monsters are really disgusting. Who doesn't know how to speak ruthlessly? Let's see if you can come out first." "Kid, don't be so arrogant. The first thing we'll do when we come out is to kill all of you humans. Then, we'll wipe out the Devil Clan. If Yuman is willing to cooperate." "No, you have Yuman's aura on you," a purple flesh-winged horned monster said in shock. All the flesh-winged horned monsters noticed this and began to suspect Muyu's identity. Although Yuman look like humans, their aura is very recognizable. This kid is not only Yuman, he's also human. Strange, since when can humans and Yuman reproduce? I remember that among the 3 races in the 3rd heaven, only human can't reproduce with other races. Kid, where did you come from? Who are your parents? All the flesh-winged horned monsters questioned loudly. Their tone was arrogant, and they interrogated Muyu as if he was a criminal. Muyu looked at this group of self-righteous fellows with disgust. It was this group of monsters that had destroyed the 2nd layer of heaven. He still did not know where this group of monsters came from or why they had destroyed the 2nd layer of heaven. However, from the images that Taoist Master Xianjizi had shown Muyu, she could tell that the group of disgusting monsters seemed to be suppressing the 2nd and 3rd layer demon kings. The White Ape Demon King wanted to resist, but unfortunately, he was unable to do so. Do you want to know who my parents are? Muyu asked calmly. That's right. Tell us your parents' names. A blue flesh-winged horned monster shouted arrogantly. My father is called the Wood Emperor, my mother is called the Bamboo Queen, and I have a godfather called the Deadwood King. Muyu smiled. Wood Emperor, Bamboo Queen, Deadwood King? Who are these 3? I've never heard of them. Is your father human or your mother human? The flesh-winged horned monster's face was full of arrogance. He looked at Muyu as if he was an inferior race. You don't even know them? You really are ignorant. Muyu sneered. Is he a famous human? Other than Jian Ying and Shinfeng, I've never been afraid of anyone in the human race. Of course they're famous. When Yu clan people see them, you have to call them old masters. Tell me, what should you call me? Muyu asked. Little master? A candid flesh-winged horned monster blurted out. Yes. Good boy. Little commander, give this dog a bone. Muyu smiled. The flesh-winged horned monsters were really stupid. Little commander generously threw all the melon seed shells over. Bastard! How dare you humiliate us? Despicable race, I'll definitely kill you. All the flesh-winged horned monsters loudly cursed, but Muyu spat out a mouthful of phlegm in disgust. You bunch of monsters are as ugly as latrine stones. Where did you get the confidence to show off your superiority in front of me? Stay here obediently. Since these flesh-winged horned monsters were imprisoned in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, Muyu was sure that when these monsters wanted to invade the 3rd layer of heaven, they were captured by his master with his powerful cultivation. Master Xianjizi was in charge of watching over them. As for why his master didn't kill these flesh-winged horned monsters, he probably had some misgivings. This was because when Phantom Rain sealed the White Ape Demon King, she had told the White Ape Demon King that he shouldn't kill these flesh-winged horned monsters. A while ago, the White Ape Demon King had heard about Akatsuki. Before leaving, he had said that the flesh-winged horned monsters wouldn't die so easily. A thought emerged in Muyu's mind. Could it be that the flesh-winged horned monsters were imprisoned here because they couldn't be killed? Master Xianjizi had cast a powerful formation domain on these fences. Muyu's hand couldn't reach in. The iron fences were protected by formation patterns. These patterns couldn't be broken even by Muyu, let alone these flesh-winged horned monsters, whose auras were weaker than Muyu's. Muyu kicked the fence and shouted, "Quiet down! As prisoners, you should have the consciousness of a prisoner. Spend the rest of your life in there and don't come out to talk." After saying this, he ignored the curses of the flesh-winged horned monsters and walked along the passage between the fences. This was indeed a prison. The square cages were formed by fences. The cages stretched all the way to the ceiling. Each cage was side by side, leaving a crisscrossing path. It was like a maze. Muyu would see a fork in the road every time he walked. Countless flesh-winged horned monsters were imprisoned in the cages. When they saw Muyu approaching, they roared, but Muyu ignored them all. Muyu walked around the passage between each cage for a long time. He secretly estimated the number of cages and the number of flesh-winged horned monsters in each cage. He found that there were at least tens of thousands of flesh-winged horned monsters imprisoned on the 39th floor of the Yao Subduing Pagoda. This made him very alarmed. He had fought with a flesh-winged horned monster before. When Akatsuki had just escaped, it was already very powerful. Although it was later defeated by Muyu with thunder, the White Ape Demon King said that Akatsuki would not die so easily. Although the aura of the flesh-winged horned monsters imprisoned here was weak, it should be because they had not been exposed to spiritual chi for a long time. If they were allowed to recover, the consequences would be unimaginable. Every flesh-winged horned monster here was at least at the out-of-body stage. Most of them were at the spirit-severing stage. Muyu even saw hundreds of flesh-winged horned monsters at the combination stage. There were also some whose aura was weak, but their cultivation was still above the combination stage. If they were in their heyday, Muyu was sure that their strength was enough to overturn the entire third heaven. If these tens of thousands of flesh-winged horned monsters attacked the third heaven, with the current strength of the third heaven cultivation world, it was absolutely impossible to resist. There is such a big secret hidden here. Muyu was quite shocked. Compared to the current situation of the cultivation world, the flesh-winged horned monsters here worried Muyu more. It turns out that the third heavenly layer has already escaped a calamity. Unfortunately, the current cultivation world doesn't know about this. Muyu gently shook her head. What infuriated Muyu the most was that the flesh-winged horned monsters were so powerful that they could affect the survival of the third sky races. However, the third sky palaces by Jie had, for his own selfish reasons, harmed the third sky's savior, Jian Ing Chen Feng. Bai Jie, you selfish scum! Muyu shouted in a low voice. Muyu, the White Ape Demon King said that Akatsuki would not die so easily. Then, wouldn't Akatsuki be resurrected? Long Ting asked. Akatsuki? Muyu suddenly thought of a very serious problem. Because there was no way to kill these flesh-winged horned monsters, they were imprisoned here. However, if the flesh-winged horned monsters could not be killed, then wouldn't there be a fish that escaped the net outside? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.